All right, 93, 93, 93. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Today, or rather this morning, I just want to speak on why astrology is not just a science, but also a art, which separates it from everything else. And this is why I'm not going to say it should be your foundation, but this essentially represents the bare minimum in which you should understand if you're trying to advance in occultism, right? What's up, Immortal 72? 93, 93. But before we get into that, let me turn this down. Before we get into that, just want to let everybody know that for the remainder of the month of December, any products, any services, any sales on asharenew.com will be half off till 2023. What's up, Mary? 93, 93. And I'm doing that, just to give back, as I always do, right? Because I've been taking some time. Like, of course, y'all haven't been seeing me live as often because I've been taking time to master my craft, right? To develop new techniques and just be the best I can be at what I do, right? To separate myself from the others, to develop original techniques, so on and so forth, right? So, now that I'm ready to present these things, that's why I'm giving everybody an opportunity to access it half off. Meaning I'm not even going to charge you full price because it's new shit, right? New techniques, right? So this is more so like you could say a trial run, a trial and error, so on and so forth, right? So I'm not going to charge you full price and I'm doing something brand new, right? So that's what that's about, right? So just getting that out the way before we even get into it. So anything on the website, you can get it for half off for the remainder of the month of December, right? Just as a gift from me to you. Let me make sure this is on repeat. All right. You've been waiting to get something? Absolutely, I'm gonna always make sure I got y'all first and foremost, right? That's why I stay in the lab. That's why I stay doing what I do, right? Y'all see I gotta move around, city to city, up all night. It's like one in the morning, West Coast time. So it's like 4 a.m. East Coast. And you see I'm still up. You know what I mean? I do what I gotta do. Now, now that that's out the way, let's get into the topic at hand, right? And let me just give you an understanding of how I arrived at this conclusion, just being with astrology. What's up, Callie? Salute. And Callie done popped in on us. The guy that's done popped in on us. That shit is crazy. I'm thinking I'm just about to get on here and get the fuck on. And y'all popping up on me. Y'all running like, I don't know, like, what the fuck are y'all doing? That's what they like. I'm thinking I'm about to come on here, say what I gotta say, then get the fuck on. Y'all popping up on me. I appreciate that. Again, that's why I do what I do, right? I appreciate y'all for sticking with me. Yeah, I appreciate it. See now y'all giving me energy that I ain't even plan on coming with y'all. I ain't even plan on coming at y'all with the energy. But I can feel your presence, right? I can feel your presence. Y'all just giving me energy. I'm like, yeah. Here I am I'm trying to be business orientated. All right. I'm trying to be professional. Y'all pulling up on me. I appreciate you because I know you could be doing anything else right now. So that's why I just want to let everybody know it is greatly appreciated. Exactly 3 a.m. vibes. Because I know you can be doing anything else right now. I know everybody got a million and one things to handle right now. Everybody got kids, jobs, bills. I know everybody got everything else, right? So just for y'all taking time out of your day, out of your schedule to tap in with me, it's always appreciated. That's why I always want to give exclusive information, right? Just to show my appreciation. That's why I got to stay in the lab. I got to develop new things, right? I didn't want to keep just coming at y'all with the same information. I'm like, I got to do more, right? I have to do more. So let me hit this last point before we move on. Because although I have not been posting videos, I have been posting for the members, right? So if you are a part of the website, ashrenew.com, if you are a member on ashrenew.com, if you are a member on my Patreon, which is Ashrenew, or if you have a membership for the YouTube, right? So if you have a YouTube membership, if you have a Patreon membership, or if you have a membership with the website, that's where you will be seeing my post. So for the website, I've already posted a December 2022 forecast. So I'm giving you all the mathematics on how to prepare for the December forecast, right? So I pretty much posted that. I believe I posted that like on the 1st, right? Then the Patreon is a numerology. So for those who went to numerology, I post all the numerology stuff on the Patreon. So I did a December 2022 numerology breakdown. So I did the astrology breakdown on ashrenew.com. I did the numerology breakdown on patreon.com. Then for if you are a part of the YouTube memberships, that's what I do, like the daily forecast, right? So whenever the moon transitions, like the moon will be going into Leo around noon. So about 12 hours, a little less than 12 hours. So I post those type of breakdowns for the YouTube members, right? For the initiates and higher, right? So just letting everybody know. So even though I'm not posting videos, I am posting literature. I am posting the literature, right? So that's why I've just been taking time out. I'm like, let me focus more on the literature, right? Let me focus more, on the people that really support me. So that's really what I've been doing, right? So when we come on here, the business is already taken care of, right? So if you are a membership of anything, you get the exclusivity first, right? So I'm handling the members first. So once everybody else is handled, then I pop up and I do the videos, right? And I just feel like that's just a fair thing to do, right? Instead of me just popping on YouTube every day, every day, every day, then the people that's paying, you're not really getting what you're paying for, right? So I just wanted to break that cycle. I'm like, let me give people what they are paying for, right? So if you're putting any money in my pocket, I'm gonna make sure that you're handled first. So that's basically what I've been doing, this catching up on the people that's been supporting me, whether I'm posting content or not. So salute, right? So I just want to make sure everybody, knows that, right? 'Cause there's people that's been supporting me whether I do content or not, right? There's people been supporting me all throughout the year, whether I show up or not, right? They're not even asking anything in return. So that's why I want to give you the ultimate salute. Like you just support me without asking for anything in return. And again, I don't want to take that for granted. So that's where I'm at right now. I don't want to take that for granted. I just want to make sure everybody knows that they are appreciated. So that's why I'm giving you the exclusive content, right? Okay. Now let's get into the topic. So I just wanted to get all that stuff out the way so that everybody's up to date and know everything that's going on in the cipher, right? So let's get into the astrology, right? Let me slow this beat down though. I'm gonna slow this down a little bit. Yeah, that sounds a little better. All right. Now, the main topic of the video is why astrology is an art and not just a science, right? This is what makes astrology different than everything else, right? Whether we're talking about numerology, whether we're talking about any other spiritual system, right? I would say astrology is supreme. What I mean by astrology is supreme is you don't have to make anything up. You don't have to guess. You don't have to speculate. Everything that you say and everything that you see, you can show that to someone else. So just like I said, like the moon is going into Leo. So when the moon goes into Leo, there are certain attributes that come with that energy. So I'm not just going to be able to make up anything. Well, the moon in Leo means this and it doesn't. I mean, I have to stick to certain parameters. Now, of course, you can add your own creativity to it, but you must move within certain parameters because it's all based in mathematics. It's based on advanced calculations. That's the scientific part of it. So the scientific part of it is based in mathematics, which is the language of the universe. So there is no guessing, there is no speculation. Anything that comes out of my mouth can be shown and proven. I'm going to show you exactly how I arrived at that conclusion because we can do that. You don't have to take my word for it. You don't have to trust me. That's why I'm not thinking about none of that. You don't have to take my word for anything because I can show you the evidence. I can show you the proof. Astrology allows you to show that proof. So just like when you were in school and you were in math class and you had to show your work, you couldn't just put the answer because you can get the answer just by putting the equation into a calculator, right? So that's why you had to show your work to show that you're not just using a calculator to get to the answer. You actually understand the process as to how to arrive at these conclusions. That's basically what astrology is. Astrology allows us to see the process that helps us to navigate. So we're not just looking at the conclusions. Now, most people are. So let me make that clear. Most people are just looking at the conclusions, which is basically the wheel and the degrees. So for example, if your sun sign is 17 degrees Leo, you can say that is the result. The result is 17 degrees Leo. But the process as to how you got to that conclusion is a process. And that's the process that shows you what's really going on when you can actually show your work. Well, how did you arrive at the conclusion that the sun is in 17 degrees Virgo? Because once you are able to show the process, which is just mathematical equations, then there is no doubt, there's no second guessing, there's no speculation, there's no you're just making something up when the work can be shown. So it's scientific in the sense where you can show your work. Now, what makes it artistic? Because again, you can learn all of that in math class, right? You can learn about geometry, trigonometry, calculus. All that is astrology. Astrology is, you can say, the combination of all the advanced mathematics, right? So when we're dealing with astrology, because again, we have to deal with aspects, right? So we're not just dealing with planets. We're not just dealing with zodiac signs. We're also dealing with aspects. Aspects are the relationships between the planets. And then we're not just dealing with aspects. We're also dealing with houses. So that's 4 degrees deep. So you're dealing with a planet, a zodiac, an aspect, and a house. So the average person, and let me not say the average person is probably not even into any of this, right? So let me not even use that as an example. The average person is not even here, right? We're not here because we're average. We're here because we're extra, right? It's just something in your brain, it's something in your heart that makes you go harder than everybody else. So let me not use everybody else. It's not a good example, right? That's the whole reason why we're here. Because we're not like everybody else. Because while everybody else is unconcerned about astrology, we are extra concerned with it. Because we can see the validity of it. So that's why it's not belief. Astrology is not based on belief, meaning some people say, well, I don't believe in astrology. And some people say, I do believe in astrology. Anybody who's saying that, anybody who is saying that they either believe or don't believe, they're applying the religious nature or the spiritual nature into something that is mathematical and artistic. So let me say that in a different way. Because astrology is not a belief system, this is not something whether you acknowledge or you don't, because astrology affects you whether you realize it or not. Meaning it's not a choice that you make. See, that's how religion works. Religion represents whether you believe or you don't believe. So if you are a Christian, you believe that Jesus is your Savior and Jesus died for your sins. That is a belief. That's not nothing that they can actually prove. That's what they believe. If you are a Muslim, you believe in Allah and the Prophet Muhammad as the last messenger. Not because you can prove it, but because that is what you believe in your heart. Then, if you're Jewish, then that takes us all the way to Abraham, right? That takes us to the Old Testament. That takes us to the Torah. You believe in those laws. But again, all of these are belief systems. These things cannot be proven, especially if we have to reference holy books, which we know are a bunch of metaphors. They are not to be taken literal. But of course, the majority of the world takes it literal. Not because they're foolish necessarily, but because that's the way we've been taught. We've been taught to take metaphors literally. That's another reason why hip hop, you can say, is so violent. And we can take this all the way back to hip hop. Hip hop is as violent as it is. It's because people take metaphors literally. So if I say I'm gonna bust your head open, and you take that literally, that's a threat to your life. But if that's a metaphor, I'm gonna bust your head open. Well, what does that mean? That can also mean that I'm gonna bust your head open with knowledge, with consciousness. I'm gonna blow your mind intellectually or even spiritually, right? So just because I said that line, it doesn't necessarily denote violence. It's only denoting violence if you take it literally. If you just strictly deal with the surface level, which is what we do. So it's not easy to go beyond the surface because you have to go beyond your emotions. For example, like if somebody call you out your name, you're going to react. However, if you don't react, if you're like, oh, they didn't just say that. Or they did say it, but I can care less about it. Meaning you're unbothered. That completely dissolves or neutralizes the energy because you're not taking it seriously. So because you're not taking it seriously, the energy is neutralized, meaning it doesn't affect you whatsoever. You don't care that somebody just said something or tried to initiate something. You're unbothered. But that goes into what we call spiritual protection. What I mean by that is, what makes a person unbothered, what makes a person, you can say, fortified, what gives a person a protection or a veil of protection is what we call spirituality. Meaning if you just go out into the world willy-nilly or haphazardly without any protection, and I'm not talking about prayers, I'm not just talking about mantras, I'm not just talking about a belief. I'm talking about actual sigils. I'm talking about actual seals. I'm talking about you're actually invoking spirits to actually do what they have to do for you. So I'm talking about going beyond the veil. I'm talking about actually working with living beings or living entities, which takes us to the stars. Going right back to astrology, it takes us to the stars. Because the stars are living beings. The planets are living beings. This is what makes astrology artistic, because you're not dealing with dead energy. You're dealing with energy that is alive and in motion. The sun advances a degree every day. So the sun is in motion, the sun is living, the sun is affecting not just us physically. Not only can you feel the warmth of the sun, but the sun also has an effect on your psyche like every other planet. So just like the moon, like we were just saying, the moon will be going into Leo around noon. So not only are you going to feel that, or basically not only are you going to be able to see that with your eyes physically, you can look up in the moon and you can see how the moon is. So not only can you visually see it, but you can also see how it affects your psyche, which is really the point. So the reason why I do all these breakdowns is to show the effect that it has on the psyche. Oh yeah, and I do daily tarot readings. I don't even know why I'd be forgetting about this stuff, right? If you have a Telegram, join my Telegram channel. Every single day I do a tarot reading. I do a tarot breakdown. So I draw a card, and I do a breakdown, right? It's all literature, it's all writing, right? It's not a video, it's all writing, right? And I've been doing it every day since August, right? So I've been doing it for months, right? So if you're into tarot, if you know just want daily breakdowns, then join the Telegram. All of these links will be in the description of this video, right? So everything that I mentioned, the Patreon, the website, the Telegram, everything mentioned will be in the description of the video. So all the links is already there for you, right? Moving on. This is why it's artistic. It's artistic because you're dealing with living things. You're not dealing with inanimate objects. Like, for example, if you are a scientist in a laboratory and you're experimenting with things, let me not say things, that's a little bit too broad. Let's just say you're a scientist and you're, let's just say, working with a lab rat, right? You're seeing how the rat navigates through the maze in order to get to the cheese, right? So we know about those tests, right? Scientists running tests on the mice, scientists running tests on monkeys and all that, right? All that's scientific. That's not really artistic because that's not an art, right? That's a science. I'm gonna cause this to happen, meaning I'm gonna put a block in the road of the mouse, and I'm gonna see the alternative that it tries to take, the alternative route, basically. Meaning, if I block the main route, I want to see how the mouse will react and see how it navigates an alternative route to get to the destination. You can say that's all scientific. That doesn't necessarily make it artistic. The artistic nature of astrology is the difference between you being the observer or the scientist. You can say navigating a lab rat. The difference would be, imagine if the lab rat can communicate with you, not necessarily using English or the spoken language, but a metaphorical language. So imagine there can be a communication between you and the subject. And then you can actually navigate the subject using telepathy. So you can telepathically navigate the lab rat because there's a connection between. See, most people ain't, that's the whole reason why it's scientific. Most people ain't trying to have no goddamn relationship with no fucking rats, right? People may have relationships with their pets. So let me not say that if you have a pet mouse or a pet rat, you probably feel that way, but most people don't, right? So when it comes to the animal kingdom, you could say this is more artistic. When it comes to the animal kingdom, when it comes to having pets, when it comes to actually extending your soul or your spirit into something else or someone else, you can say that is a work of art. That is what an artist does, or a painter. When a painter paints a picture on a canvas, that is them taking a part or a piece of themselves subjectively and then making it objective. You took something that was subjective, meaning you already saw the image in your head, and then you did what you had to do to put that image that you saw in your head on a canvas. So what you saw subjectively becomes objective. That's art, because you're taking a part of you and you're extending that into the physical plane. So when you're seeing that artistic piece as a painter, that's not on the physical plane. That's on a higher level, as we call it, the creative world, or Bira. So when you are able to visualize creative things, that's taking place in Bira. When you actually lay down the canvas and put the paintbrush to the canvas, now you're dealing in the world of Asia, right? Which is the earth plane, which is the physical plane, right? So you see it's levels. See, astrology shows you the levels, meaning astrology operates on all four planes: fire, water, air, earth. Absolute, Bira, Yetzirah, Asia. Astrology, that's why astrology has 4 elements, right? So that means you are able to tap into any of these 4 worlds. So not only do you have a scientific understanding of what these 4 worlds represent: fire, water, air, earth, desire, creativity, philosophy, and then the result of those previous 3. See, this shows you the map of the universe, which is what the Kabbalah is, right? And the foundation of the Kabbalah is astrology. Because if you understand astrology, then you can comprehend the Kabbalah. But if you don't understand astrology, you can't comprehend the Kabbalah. Because that is the goal. The goal is not astrology or to be an astrologer. That's just more so you can say that's just what happens in the process. What I mean by that is, the goal is to be a Kabbalist. But in order to be a Kabbalist, you must be able to comprehend the language of astrology. And when you are able to comprehend the language of astrology, scientifically, the Kabbalah is the artistic nature of it. What makes it artistic is when you evolve it into the Kabbalah, right? Because the Kabbalah, once again, is the map of the universe. So this shows you how you should navigate personally. This is what makes it artistic, because it is applying to you personally. See, anything scientific is not personal. If you throw water on top of fire, the water will put the fire out. That's just science, right? That's just chemical reactions. But when it comes to the psyche, now we're talking about, well, how does this energy affect me personally? How does this energy affect my psyche? How does a moon in Leo affect my psyche? Now you have to go to the artistic nature of it. Because the science of it is moon and Leo. You can say that's the scientific aspect of it. Moon and Leo, that's the science, that's the equation, that's the mathematics. But how that applies to you personally, that's the artistic nature of it. So once you know the equation, okay, the moon is in Leo, that's your equation. So when you ask yourself the question, well, how does that affect me? How is that going to affect my psyche? What should I be doing at this particular time based on the energy that is available to me? Now that is the artistic nature, because now you're applying yourself to it. Now you done brought the stars or the heavens to earth. You have brought the heavens to earth because you are on the earth, but you're also in the heavens. So when you acknowledge the stars, you're also acknowledging yourself, because you're up there too. Just like you're down here, you're up there, as above, so below. The law of correspondence. So we already know this to be true. So when you bring the stars to earth, which is your psyche, how does the stars affect my psyche on the earth plane or the physical plane? The conclusion you come to is artistic, because you're different than anybody else, right? So the conclusions you arrive at will be different than the next person. That's the difference between an astrologer and a Kabbalist. That's why I always say, all these are just stepping stones for you to comprehend the Kabbalah, if that's your goal. And what makes the Kabbalah so hard to comprehend is it is artistic. You can't approach the Kabbalah with a scientific mind, because you're only going to go so far. Meaning it's not going to become real to you. It's just going to be 2D. It's not going to become 3D for you. 2D means you can look at a piece of paper and you can look at the diagrams. You can look at the Sephra. You can look at the 22 paths. You're looking at all this on paper, or you're looking at it on, through a computer or a phone. But it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with you personally. It's not until you become the Kabbalah. It's not until you realize, oh, this is not just a map of the universe, this is a map of me. This is my map for me to navigate. So not only is it objective, it's also subjective. Not only is it scientific, it's also artistic because there isn't just one answer. That's what makes it artistic. So, for example, 1 plus 1 will always equal 2. That's science. It don't matter what I believe, it don't matter what you believe. 1 plus 1 will always equal 2. That is a universal law. However, when we navigate, well, how does a 1 affect me? Because we know the 1 is representative of the sun. So when you look at the 1, you don't see 1, you see the sun. Then you're looking at, well, how does that affect me? Well, on the surface, it doesn't. 1 plus 1 equal 2, that really doesn't affect you at all, right? It's not until you look at your sun sign. It's not until you look at planetary hours and planetary days that you realize, oh, this is how this affects me. When you're navigating the day of the sun, when you're navigating the hour of the sun, because that's the energy in real time. So the only way for you to comprehend, well, how does this energy affect me in real time? Well, you have to experience it in real time. And from those experiences, are you able to draw a conclusion as to how this affects you? Not what the energy is. You already know what the energy is. That's the science. So you have the science. I know what this energy is. But how does this energy affect my psyche? You have to go through a process. You have to gain some experience. And then from that experience, are you able to arrive at an ultimate conclusion, which is the artistic nature? Because again, if 3 people do the same thing, they're not going to all come to the same conclusion. 3 different people will have 3 different conclusions, but they will all be similar but different. Similar but different. That's art. Similar but different. That's why you see astrology advances how you think, period. This is not just science. That's how everybody else takes it. Everybody else is just science. Right? It's just horoscopes. So back from hiatus. Peace. So for everybody else, that's why they can believe in it or not. But the fact that they're even using that language shows that they don't know enough yet. Not that they can't, but they don't know enough yet. So anybody talking about whether they believe it or they just don't know enough. They don't have enough experience in real time. It's still science to them. They haven't unlocked the artistic nature of the science, which is not easy to do. So I'm not coming on here telling you that this is the easiest thing to do. It's not. Because you got to go beyond belief. This can't just, well, I acknowledge it and then someone else doesn't. If you can't show and prove to the next person the reality of these things, then it's still a science to you. That's why I get on these videos, right? I get on this YouTube and I show you how this is more than what we think it is or what we have been taught to believe it is. See, astrology has been taught to us, you can say, in a westernized format. So when we approach astrology, we are approaching astrology from a Western perspective. But as we know, astrology is all over the planet, and it is comprehended differently depending on the culture. That's what makes Western astrology different than Vedic astrology. It's not just the mathematics, it's a whole different culture. Meaning they have a whole different set of beliefs. So if the Vedic people believe in reincarnation, but the Western people don't, that will go into how you comprehend astrology. See, this is what I mean by your beliefs will determine how you comprehend these things. So if you don't believe in reincarnation, then you're going to apply that to astrology. But if you do, you're going to apply that to astrology. How will you understand the deities will help you comprehend astrology. So that's how Jupiter becomes Zeus. Because now you must go into the mythology. See, we don't really comprehend none of this at all, really. What do I mean by that? If I ask the average person, Can you speak on the research? It's all the same. Let me not say that. Let me not say that, right? Because that would be, I'm oversimplifying it when I say that, right? Because I don't want to make it seem like, okay, well, like Oshun is the same as Venus, which is the same as Aphrodite, right? That's all the energy of Venus. Now, technically, that's true. Ogun represents Mars. Technically, that's true, which is the god of war, which goes into Aries. Technically, all that's true. You can say that it's all the same energy. But the art is they are still separate configurations. What do I mean? If you invoke Mars, if you invoke Aries, if you invoke Ogun, do you think you're going to have the same experience? Just because technically you can say, oh, this is an energy of Mars, oh, this is an energy of war, oh, this is an energy of technology, which is true. But if you think you're going to have the same experience because they all have correspondences, then you're missing the point. I think we have gotten to a point where we kind of have made all the deities just pretty much all the same. That's basically that's where we are now, right? So basically we just interchange, we use these energies interchangeably, right? So just like I said, okay, well, one person is using Oshun, one person is using Venus, another person is using Aphrodite, so on and so forth, right? Because in our minds, it's all the same thing. Scientifically, they're right. And that's why I'm making this whole video. Scientifically, they are right. But artistically, they still have ways to go. It is through the artistic nature of working with these energies, invoking these energies, that you begin to comprehend the differences between all of these currents. So on the surface, they're all the same. It's not until you dig beyond the surface that you begin to see the reality of it. Right? So let's just say I work with Ogun, but then I work with Aries, but I have two different experiences. But they're technically the same energy. So why am I having two different experiences with energies that are the same? Right? Why do I have different experiences? Because although they correspond, they all have their own unique signature. That's what it comes down to. They have correspondences between each other, and that's basically what the average person is looking at. The average person is looking at the correspondences between all of these energies. It's not until you actually work with the energies personally that you begin to comprehend the artistic nature of how they are different, meaning to detect the differences. So the average person is looking at all of these energies as the same, but the artist is looking at this as these energies are used for certain, you could say, goals, right? I mean, I'm not going to use Ogun for the same purposes I use Aries. Excuse me, on the surface, like, well, why not? It's all the same energy. We have to comprehend culture. The differences lies in the culture, right? Because Ogun takes you to Ifa. Aries takes you to the Greek culture. Mars takes you to the Roman culture, right? So depending on what you're trying to accomplish, it's going to make more sense to tap into certain energies. So it all depends on what you're trying to achieve. So it's not about, okay, I need a fire energy, or I need an energy of Mars, so okay, I'm going to pull on Ogun, or I'm going to pull on Aries. It's not necessarily like that. You must comprehend the cultural differences. Because when you comprehend the cultural differences, then you know, okay, depending on the culture, now I know what energy makes the most sense to work with, because I'm looking at the culture that revolves around this energy, and I'm looking at, is that going to be useful to me? Is that going to be useful to me? Is that going to be useful to me? because you see how these energies operate within their culture. So yes, you have the base energy, but then you like, how does the energy manifest within the culture that it is a part of? That's art. Again, that's what separates the scientist from the artist. The scientist is just looking at all this is fire. It all is all just different levels of fire. But the artist is looking at the culture. How does these energies operate within the cultures? Because through observing how the energies operate within the culture, that's going to tell me whether or not that energy is going to be useful with what I'm trying to bring forth, right? See, the thing is, most people don't have enough information about culture to even make that decision. So that's why most people are scientists, because they don't have enough information and experience to comprehend the differences between so-called similar energies. That's why the artist is supreme. Because the artist can take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, and make something original. A scientist can't do that. Because a scientist is just going based off of mathematics. A scientist is going based off of equations. A scientist is not looking at, okay, I need a little bit of this, 1/4 of this, 1/2 of this, 1/10 of this, and I'm gonna cook up a recipe. Now you see that's going into alchemy. Right, that's alchemical. That's why an artist is really an alchemist. Because you already know I don't really like using the word artist because I feel like it's just oversaturated. So that's why I'm like, an artist is really an alchemist. Because you're applying the art, not just the science, the art of alchemy. What makes alchemy artistic is for the very reasons I mentioned. You know the difference between Ogun, Aries, and Mars. That's what makes you an alchemist. You know the differences. You're not looking at these things as the same. You know the differences. This energy is not to be used in this certain situation, but this energy is. You know how to tell that difference because you have the experience, because you are culturally educated. See, it's hard to educate yourself with different cultures when you can say you are a part of a culture, because that's what most people are already a part of something. So that's what they stick to. So that's why I'm like, okay, well, they're not alchemists. They're cultural people. They're scientific. They may even be spiritual. But that none of that makes you an alchemist. Because when you are an alchemist, you're not attached to any culture. What I mean by that is you're not working with a particular energy just because of a cultural bond. What I mean by that is, if you are a part of Ifa, then when you want to tap into that fire, you're going to tap into Ogun. You're not thinking about Mars. You're not thinking about Aries. You're not thinking about any other fire deities in any other culture because that's not your culture. So you're going to go directly to the energy that you already comprehend before you start going outside of your culture. See, this is what it means to be in the new age. We are no longer in the age of Pisces. So this is why I'm bringing it to everyone's attention. Because I know it's people already like that, right? It's people already like that. There are some people that are still within the age of Pisces, but we are in the age of Aquarius. So we have to update and upgrade our technology, right? I was going to say to you, do you think in order to achieve direct contact with the energies of the Kabbalah, you need all the ingredients of the other cultures? Exactly. Exactly. Because the Kabbalah is everything. The Kabbalah is not just one thing. The Kabbalah is everything. See, with the Kabbalah, you're not talking about Ogun. You're not talking about Aries. You're not talking about Mars. You're going to say Geburah. That's the energy of Mars. And the Kabbalah is Geburah, which is the fifth Sephira, right? Which is on the left-hand path. See, with the Kabbalah, you get all the extra information. See, that's, as I just said, it is on the left-hand path. Mars Ogun, Aries is on the left hand path. Not the right hand, the left hand. Geburah is on the left side of the tree, corresponding to the number 5. So not only do you have a number 5, you have an energy, Geburah, and you also know where it is on the what side of the tree it's on. The left side of the tree is the feminine side, right? The left side is the feminine side. So even though Mars on the surface, you can say represents the energy, a masculine energy on the surface, but according to the Kabbalah, it's actually on the feminine side of the tree. So you see how that switches everything up? So while everybody else is looking at Mars as masculine, the Kabbalist is looking at it as feminine because it's on the feminine side of the tree. It's on the feminine pillar called Bonaz, right? Because it's all alchemy. See, this is what makes a Kabbalah different than everything else, because you see, you must apply alchemy to even comprehend this. Because you see, this is above culture. The Kabbalah is not a cultural thing. This is an alchemical thing. The Kabbalah comes, again, it doesn't come from, you can say, a culture. It comes from science, and it became artistic, which makes it universal. That's the main thing right there. The Kabbalah is universal. The Kabbalah does not care about what culture you subscribe to. It doesn't care about your creed. It doesn't care about your ethnicity, your race. The Kabbalah is not concerned with all that. Everything else is. Everything else is cultural. But the Kabbalah isn't, because it's all alchemical. It's all artistic. The whole point of it, so you don't get caught up in the bullshit. So again, when you're working with the energy of Mars, Geburah, so you're not choosing between Ogun, Aries, Mars. You don't have to choose. You realize, okay, I know exactly where to go, because this is the universal currency. This is not based on my belief system. This is not based on my culture. This is based on the universal science and art, which is you. You are not just science, you are also art. That's where it really starts. Like, we can look at ourselves as scientific beings, but we're also artistic. We have the ability to be creative. So we're not just scientific, we're also artistic. So the Kabbalah is just teaching you about you, the true nature of you, of your own essence, which goes beyond your culture. You leave your culture behind. That's where you start, but that's not where you end. If your goal is to be a supreme master of these sciences. That's essentially what most people would never do. That's why I have to talk about it. Because everybody else, again, just look around. If you look at most information, whether it's on the internet, whether it's not, well, YouTube or whatever, wherever you find this information, most of this information is cultural. Meaning people are already a part of something. They're already a part of Ifa. They're already Christian. They're already Muslim. They're already spiritual. They're already New Age, right? People have already pretty much picked a side that they're going to be on, right? They have already made that decision. That's why when you come around speaking Kabbalistic, they don't even comprehend what you're talking about, right? They don't even comprehend what you're talking about. It's a revolution melting pot. That's what it should be. But it's never going to be like a lot of people that subscribe to this, because they're already where they are, right? That's the point I'm making. People have already, wherever they're comfortable, that's where you're going to find them. You're going to find people wherever they're comfortable with, right? You're not really going to find too many people in an uncomfortable position. But that's exactly where you need to be. You need to go into unfamiliar space. It's not for you to go into familiar places. because that's what your ancestors have been doing the whole time. See, that's why like we cannot put too much energy on the ancestors. I feel like people are putting too much energy on the ancestors, right? Brother Panic was touching on this. Like I used to tap into Panic like way back in the day, right? Like 10 years ago, right? I knew about Panic before I even knew about Bobby, right? But it wasn't because I was looking for it though. See, this is the thing. I know this shit is real because I had to do a whole fucking ritual to even tap into Brother Panic, into Bobby Hemmett, into what we call the conscious community. I wasn't just searching on YouTube one day and I found out about this stuff. That's not how it happened to me. That may be how it happened to some people, but that's not how I had to do a full blown ritual to get into communication with this stuff. A whole relationship had to end for me. I was in a whole relationship. Relationship had to end because I did a ritual and it was like, yo, I can't go there with you. That's just my experience. That's just how serious it was. Like the whole relation, like, yo, we can't even go any further. Like either we're going in this bitch together or we gotta separate. That's just how serious it was for me. Meaning the ritual was so powerful that my partner at the time was like, yo, I'm not going in there. The energy was so that like I activated some energy that shit. They're like, yo, I'm not doing shit. It spooked them out. They're like, yo, I'm not doing that. Then eventually the relationship began to dissolve because now I didn't open up portals that is completely different than the portals I had open before because I wasn't practicing magic. See, I was into astrology. I was into the science, but I wasn't practicing magic. I was not a magical practitioner, right? Once I became a magical practitioner, then all that stuff began to make sense to me. You can say that's when I started my dark path, really. My dark path was started via a ritual done in the winter solstice, right? And again, it completely changed the course of my life. That's why I take this shit so seriously, because I'm like, yo, I remember how it was in the beginning. This completely changed everything. I was being tormented by the spirit. I opened up energies that I was being tormented. So that's why I understand why some people do some dark magic and they do dark shit and they get fucking tormented. I went through that. I remember sleepless nights. I remember the energy is just so powerful. Like, yo, I can't even sleep. I couldn't even sleep in my own home. That's just how powerful the energy was. I had to put like a whole towel over my head. I had to listen to mantras. I had to literally create a whole atmosphere just to go to sleep because the energy was so potent. I had to tame that energy. I had to learn that energy. I had to, I had to go. It was a process, right? And as I said, the relationship was over after that. Relationship had to end because of that. Because they were not ready for that. And by all means, you can't force nobody to go in the path that you're going just because you're going there. So all I could do was respect it, which is all I did, man. I respect it, right? Because the last thing I'm going to do is force anybody to take a journey that they don't want to take. So I'm like, okay, it's not. I'm taking a journey, and I'm not going to stop the journey because you don't want to go, right? Damn, me too. I had the same experience because you see, this is what we have to go through, one way or another. One way or another, we all must go through this if this is your path. You may have to give up a relationship. You may have to give up, the just being cool with certain people, family, friends. It's like, so we all know this already, right? This is not nothing new. This is not something that we ain't already been through, unless you're new. Now, if you're new, then this is pretty much, I'm not going to say this is going to happen to you, but you will deal with chaos until you tame it. So when you open up those dark portals, you're opening up chaos and you must tame it. It's not that this energy is evil. It's not that the energy is negative. It's your energy because you brought it into existence, but it's the part of you that you're unfamiliar with, as we call the shadow. You must tame your own shadow, which is a process. right? That's not something that you're going to do overnight. Again, it's going to cost you. Excuse me, but it's absolutely necessary for those who are destined to be on this path. So it's like it's not going to stop you though, right? Different facets of the same face, which is why chefs can create different masterpieces from the same ingredients. Same thing could be said of so many things, such as fragrances that use the same smells. Yes, because all this is alchemy. All this comes from the same place. So you're right. Alchemy can be applied to anything because alchemy is universal. That's the whole thing. That's what makes it alchemical, because you can apply it in any facet of life. But you can't do that with everything, though. You can only do that with certain things, right? Same here, whole marriage of 13 years divorce had to be I was being challenged. Exactly. Exactly. You will go through pain, but it's an absolutely necessary pain, and that pain must be transmuted. That's what makes you, I'm not even going to say dark. That's not what makes you dark. That is what makes you complete. When you take the path on the dark, it makes you complete. Because we all come from the light any damn way. We all come from the heavens. We all come from the light. But some of us choose to explore our darkness while we're here. Some do, some don't. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with those people, because some people just may not want to explore their demons, their shadows, their jinn. And by all means, that's their choice. Some people just want to fully remain angelic, and by all means, that's their choice. That's why heaven was split in half, right? If we know the story, heaven was split in half. Half of the angels went to hell, half stayed in heaven. And yes, this is metaphors to explain what's actually occurring. That's why some people are on the left-hand side, some people are on the right-hand side. Some people chose to remain in heaven, while some of us chose to master hell. And the only thing we can do is respect their path, because we respect our path. That's why we don't push this on anyone else. You see, I don't come on here trying to convert anybody, right? I don't come on here telling people, well, you need to be on 93, you need to research this. I'm like, no, you don't. Because your path may be different, but you can still benefit from the science and the art if you choose to, if you're open enough. That's why I already know, like, many of the people that watch the videos, we're not all on the same path. Everybody's not 93. You see, again, it's just a small portion of us that's 93. But everybody outside of that, they can still benefit from it because it's reality. And again, it's not about converting anybody, because there's no need for that. Because it's all psychological anyway. This is not about getting followers. It's not about likes. It's not about subscribes. That's why you don't be seeing me on here just every day trying to just to go extra hard. I've already been there, done that. What may be good for the internet doesn't mean that that's good for my personal journey or your personal journey. Some things are just not meant to be documented. Some things are. But I had to learn that, right? Again, I've been doing this damn near fucking 10 years now. Some things had to be documented, and some things were not. Everything on this channel, I'm like, damn, did I really have to document that? I didn't have to document every goddamn thing I did on this channel. I didn't have to document myself at my lowest, but I did. I'm not saying it was the best decision or not, but it happened. I learned, and now I'm like, okay, it's about mastering the craft now, right? I don't have to necessarily show everybody what I have to do to master the path, because it's going to be different for everybody. Everybody's not going to do what I had to do, because everybody has to master their own shadow, right? So that's why I show up. Just to show you that the goal is to be an alchemist. That's my goal. Like, whether you're 93 or not, whatever you subscribe to, just be an alchemist. That's my only message. Be an alchemist. Do not get caught up in culture. Do not get caught up in science. Do not get caught up in religion, creed, race, ethnicity. Don't get caught up in any of this stuff because this is all illusion. The only thing that's real is alchemy. That's the only thing that's real. I was tapping into some of your older videos, bro, and there is so much to learn from because it was all happening in real time, right? And that's like that's an experience that you're just not going to get on YouTube in today's times. That's why I come from the older times, right? I come from the older times, right? I'm not a new YouTuber. I come from the times where, again, I've been on YouTube the whole fucking time, right? So I can't even call my like I've been on YouTube the whole damn time, right? That's why I did what most people were not willing to do. Meaning, you really can't go on many people's channel and you see their whole fucking journey. It's just not there. It wasn't documented. I was just fortunate enough to document the whole fucking journey. Like my whole spiritual journey has been recorded, has been documented. I have notes, right? I have notes going all the way back to like 2008, right? I have been documenting my journey going all the way back to 2008 before most people even cared about spirituality. Again, this is before 2012. This is before the spiritual revolution, right? So we're talking about 4 years before 2012, before people even knew what the fuck that shit meant. Before it was cool. Before you can go around talking about how new agey you are. I'm talking about before all that. I've been documenting, writing down notes way back then. So everybody's not going to be able to display that. But that's why I did it. Because I knew that who else is going to do this shit? I did it because I'm like, who else is going to show the reality of the path? Everybody else just comes on here, they're already fucking masters, right? They done already got the shit figured out. They already solved all their problems. But they didn't show you how they got there. They may speak about it, but you didn't see it. You didn't see it. They speak about it, but for me, you can see it. You can see me in all over this goddamn country. It's documented. You can see me going through hell and going through heaven. You see me going through hell, you see me going through heaven, and then you'll see like, okay, this all has a purpose. This all has a reason. It's not just somebody who's just all over the place. This is for a purpose. And the purpose, as you see, is now. You see, I'm still here. You see, I didn't die off. I didn't get tired of the path. I'm still here running my goddamn mouth, right? Most people that was around when I started, they're not here now. Right? It's just that simple. Most people that was around when I was doing this, they're not around now. Right? They're not. So I'm not saying I was the only one, but I'm one of the few that's still around. Right? So of course you got a whole nother era of YouTubers. Like the Gen Zs, you got I'm a millennial, right? You can say now YouTube is ran by Generation Z, right? And like the most popular person of the Generation Z is like NBA YoungBoy, right? Or YoungBoy. That's why like he's like the most popular, you could say, young artist because he's from Generation Z, right? So I'll be looking at these things, right? So I know I have an original perspective. I only can speak from the perspective of a millennial. I believe that we're the majority too. I think we are the majority, the millennials, right? But then we have a whole nother generation that's coming up after us. And if we can save them half the time that we had to put in, then we're good money. That's how I look at it, right? That's how I look at it. That's why I documented my journey. So the next generation coming up, you can look at what I did and take the best parts of it and apply it to your life. So that you don't have to go through the hardships. You can take the best part of it and make it into your own, and you become your own alchemist. Because you didn't see somebody else walk the path. So that's the only thing. That's the only reason I do it, right? Let me save you half the time. So it may have took me over a fucking decade to get to these conclusions, but it should only take you 2.5 years if you pay attention. Because I didn't have this avenue, somebody to help guide me through this shit, right? Because I didn't know nobody personally who was going through this shit. That's why I had to go through it. I'm like, damn, ain't nobody. I didn't have any mentors, right? I didn't have nobody to call on. Again, YouTube in the early days, they wasn't even talking about this stuff, right? So that's why it's different for me, right? Give me a second. That's why it's a little different for me, right? Back when I was on YouTube, it wasn't an abundance of spiritual information. That's the difference, right? It's an abundance of now. This shit is oversaturated now. But when I began to tap in, it was authentic. So that's the good and the bad of it. The good of it is, back in the early stages of YouTube, the only people that was teaching was authentic teachers. It wasn't too many people pretending or trying to cloud up or trying to get money out of it. The only people that was around was people that was authentic. So that's the time I came up. So all the people I was tapping into was authentic because that was what they dedicated their life towards. So if they was teaching astrology, they were actually astrologers. If they were teaching numerology, they was actually numerologists. Right? Even the word spiritual wasn't even popping back then, right? It wasn't even a thing to be spiritual, right? That wasn't even the language that was being used back then. That's 2012 and beyond. So I'm like, that's a perspective I can provide. I can provide you the perspective of how things was before we know it to be now. So that's why when you tap on YouTube now, you have anybody just running their mouth about any goddamn thing, right? But they're not alchemists. That's the main difference, right? I don't care how spiritual they may be. I don't care what path they may be on, but they're not alchemists. Because you can't be cultural and be an alchemist. I'm not saying that alchemy is not present in every culture. It clearly is. And people try to master those particular cultures because that's the culture that they come from. But as an American, as you know, our culture has been deleted. See, that's the thing. That's the whole thing, right? We know that our culture has been deleted, or they tried to delete it. So we had to come from a completely new perspective. That's what makes us different than other people who have never been disconnected from their culture. That's the main difference, right? So when you talk to people that's like, let's just say they are a part of Ifa, because Ogun was mentioned, right? These people have never lost their culture. These people have had the same culture for however long the culture has been on the planet, right? So they have a continuous line from ancestor to ancestor to ancestor to ancestor, right? So of course, somebody who's coming from a culture perspective, who got access to all this information, of course their perspective will be different than somebody who has no culture, because the culture has been deleted. So there's a good and a bad to that. That's the point I'm making. There's a good and a bad to that. The good of that is it makes us more, it's easier for us to navigate all cultures because we don't have, you can say, a dedication to just one. So as an American, again, you can tap into the Egyptology. You can tap into the African sciences. You can tap into the Far East, the Vedic sciences. Then you can tap into the Western sciences. And then you can make a correlation between all of them and then develop something that is original, that's neither like any of the previous mentioned, right? So you can say that's our advantage. Our advantage is we don't have to stay within one culture. However, the disadvantage is If you start mixing things, you kind of lose it. You lose your ability to be magical when you start to, you could say, develop preferences. What I mean by preferences is you start to latch on to one a little bit too much. Meaning you become more, well, like whatever it is that you identify with, right? So you're not calling yourself an alchemist, you call yourself whatever it is that you identify with, right? That can be to your detriment because your goal is to have a comprehension of every culture, not just certain ones that you are drawn to. Because that's what I had to learn, right? I had to go all the way to the east, the far east. I had to go all the way to the far east, to Asia, and then bring this shit back to America. Bring it all the way back to the west, all right? So you must study the entire planet. It's not for you to just to be a master of one thing. You must be a master of all. That's what makes you divine. Meaning you are a master of all versus you're this or you're that. That's because you're missing the point. Let everybody else do that because there's already people in place that can do that already. We must do what they can't do. We're not here to just be what they're already being. Meaning it would make no sense for me to be a part of IFA. When you got people that was born into that culture, who know way more about it than I ever will. So me going into that culture then trying to be something in that culture, like it ain't people already in position, I'm just wasting my own time. That's the point I'm making. Meaning it's better to just let them do them. Instead of trying to become a part of what they're already a part of, but they're still looking at you like an outsider because you technically are. That's basically what I'm saying. If you try to go into any other of these cultures, they're still going to be looking at you as an outsider because you technically are. If you got people who've been practicing been practicing that their whole life, and you come amongst them in your 20s or your 30s or your 40s or whatever age you may be, you think they're going to be looking at you as the same as them and they've been doing the same thing their whole life? No. It's not going to be the same, and it's not supposed to be. Meaning you're not supposed to be over there with them if that's not your culture. Now, can you learn about the culture? Absolutely. But for you to subscribe to that culture and that culture exclusively, and that's not your culture, meaning you were born in America, so that's not even your culture. And this is what I mean, like a lot of people subscribe to this. I don't know why the fuck people do it, but they do, right? But a lot of people do this, right? I just want answers in order to transcend death. You are deaf. That's how you transcend death. You are deaf. Death is you. Death becomes you. Death is not an event. Death is a currency. That's why we have an afterlife. Right? So in order to transcend death, do you do that in life or do you do that in the afterlife? You must master the afterlife. It ain't about mastering this life, it's about mastering the afterlife. But we don't have to get too deep into that, right? But you are deaf. Santa Morte. And as you see, she is death itself, right? So I'm dead. I didn't say you're dead. I say you are deaf. Deaf is you. See, being deaf and being dead is two different things. That's why you have an angel of death. The angel of death is alive, right? But then somebody dead isn't alive. But the angel of death is. So if you are deaf, you have to be living. Because the angel of death is living. right? So you can be the angel of death. The angel of death is still alive, but you have to understand that. Again, it's not easy to comprehend though. So I'm not saying it like that's just something that you're just going to grasp on, but you are death, right? And death is the beginnings of rebirth, because at the opposite of death is rebirth, or as we call resurrection. So if you're trying to transcend death, that's basically the equivalent of the Christ being resurrected, the resurrected Christ. That's basically what you're saying, right? You're trying to embody the energy of the resurrected Christ, that 33rd degree. That's what that's really about. And you see, that's a universal science. But getting back to what I was saying, I guess I think I know how this shit happened. Because I was saying, I don't really know how the fuck this shit happened, but I technically do. I guess it's the conscious community. That's what happened. What happened was the conscious community influenced so many people that people became more African centered, or as we call Pan African, right? Pan Africanism. That's what happened, right? So if you were tapped into the conscious community, you were tapping into Pan Africanism, which is really something we invented over here in America. That ain't necessarily what they subscribe to in Africa. You're not going to go to Africa and they're calling themselves Pan African, because Pan means all. So basically, Pan African means all of Africa, right? But that's not how they think over there. They separate themselves. That's not how they believe. They're not Pan Africanist. That's an American concept. You can say that's more of a political concept. So people started to align themselves with Pan Africanism. And when they aligned themselves with Pan Africanism, that's when things like Ifa began to take hold. Things, like, Egypt, the Egyptian cultures, the Egyptian ways of life, the Ifa ways of life, and all of the religions and cultures of Africa. That's when people started to subscribe to that a lot more. Americans, not people that's already there. I'm talking about Americans identifying by Pan Africanism or all Africa, right? What that did was, because we can look at it now. See, at the time it was cool. I'm just looking at it now, right? 10 years, 10, 15 years later, right? Because if we look at the conscious community now, that's what everybody is on, right? Everybody's like Pan-African, right? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being that, if that's what you identify as, right? So I'm not here to tell people what they should or should not be doing. What I'm saying is we lost track of why we're here in the first place. We was not here to be Pan-African, as if that's all there is. What about Asia? What about India? Shit, what about Iceland? What about Scotland? What about Europe? Why do we negate these other cultures like they don't exist? You know why? Because we feel like, well, Africa is the mother continent, right? Africa is the first. We all come from Africa. But that's not necessarily the case, right? How do I know that? Because we know where that comes from. That didn't even come from us. What do I mean by that? It's called Charles Darwin. That's what it's called. It's called Charles Darwin. The same person that told us that we came from monkeys was the same person that told us that all humans originate in Africa. So we didn't even invent that concept, but we subscribe to it. That's why I look at it like what? What are we doing that for? It would be different if we invented that, but we didn't. Before Charles Darwin, we were not Pan Africanists. Before Charles Darwin laid that down, we was not identifying with that because that's not how we thought. We wasn't thinking, okay, well, the world starts in Africa or the first human beings were in Africa. That's not how we thought. That's a idea that came from Charles Darwin. So if you don't subscribe to you coming from monkeys, if you don't believe that, if you feel like we come from the stars, we come from here, we come from that. If you don't believe we come from monkeys, then why would you believe we come from Africa? If the same person brought you that. So why do you take that, but you don't take that? You see what I mean? Hopefully y'all comprehend what I'm saying here. So we're gonna take that. We're all from Africa, but we don't want to take we come from monkeys. Because if you are a Pan-Africanist, you don't subscribe to the idea that we come from monkeys. You don't believe that. You don't subscribe to that. But these ideas come from the same person, so you're basically just taking half of what he said, and then the other half you just leave it. That's why I never really got on that path, right? Because I just went straight to the origins. I'm like, if this all comes from Charles Darwin, then why am I taking his words at all when he clearly has a bias, right? So that's again, this is just me looking objectively. It's not my feelings. This is just me looking at things objectively. Like, okay, well, what the fuck are we doing here? Why do we favor Africa like that's the actual origin? Okay, well, Charles Darwin. Because before Charles Darwin, we had the idea of Pangea. Pangea meaning the earth was all one. It was all one continent, which broke apart. So if it was all one continent, that means everything was connected. Not just Africa. Everything was Asia, Africa, Europe, America, all of it was the same. So all this, well, the first people come from Africa. Well, the planet was not called Africa. When the planet was one landmass, we was not calling that landmass Africa. So you couldn't be African because that wasn't even the name of the landmass. That was not the name of the continent. So that is a new word. Africa, as we know, was named after a person. A person has no cultural significance at all. If anything, they called it Kush. If we want to make it cultural, they called it Kush. It was not Africa. That's a political term. It's all politics. So that's why I say it's no disrespect to those people. It's just politics. Because those people don't have nothing to do with it. It comes from Charles Darwin. Those people was not saying, okay, well, the first people came from Africa. That's not how African people believe. Because it didn't come from them. It came from Charles Darwin. Exactly. Indus Kush Valley. Exactly. But nobody's calling themselves the Kush people. But we're African or Pan-African. So, all I'm saying is I see the same thing you see. And that's why, like, for me, it was always weird. I'm like, okay, why are we identifying as that when that's not even an idea that we came up with? Africa is not a name we came up with. This has nothing to do with us. This is other people from other cultures coming in and activating politics. So that's why I say this is all political. So to be Pan-African, that's a political term. That has nothing to do with culture. That's politics. Especially when they don't believe that either. You're not going to go to Africa and they identify with Pan-Africanism. That's not an African concept. That's an American concept. That was invented over here. That wasn't invented over there. So how do we take something that we invented over here, then we try to apply it to them as if that's how they believe? Because that's not how they believe. That's not how they think. That's not what they resonate with. Africa is a very big place. These are different people. They don't all see themselves as the same because they don't all have the same religion. Some of them are Christians. If you go to Africa right now, you're not just going to run into a bunch of Ifa people. You're going to run into Christians. You're going to run into Muslims. You're going to run into Jews. You're going to run into all types of people. So there's no way that they all identify as the same because there's so many different religions and cultures there already, and they're all different. Then let's not forget that it's different languages. Depending on where you are in Africa, it may be a different language. See, that's the thing about America, right? At least in America, whether you go to California or whether you go to New York, whether you go to Texas or whether you go to Michigan, it's all English. It's all one language. You can understand the people in California just like you can understand the people in New York. Other countries are not like that. If people didn't comprehend that, other countries are not like that. But that's why we can invent something like Pan-Africanism here. But then we try to apply it over there and it doesn't apply. Because America is not like everywhere else. Because if you go anywhere else, they're going to be speaking multiple languages. They don't all speak the same language. They're speaking different shit and different variations of the languages. So that's why I say they don't all identify as the same thing because these are people, different people speaking a different language, with a different religion, with a different way of life. These are not all the same people and never was all the same people because of the cultural differences, because of the language barriers. The people in South Africa don't speak the same language as the people in North Africa. They don't all speak the same language. It's only over here in America that you can go anywhere in the goddamn country and you will speak English. But that's why I say that's not necessarily how the rest of the world works. That's why we can invent something like Pan-Africanism and then try to apply it to the rest of the world, but then the rest of the world is looking at us crazy like that's not how we believe, that's not how we operate. How can you say that these are the same people and they don't even have the same language? They don't have the same religion and they don't have the same culture. How are these the same people? But that's why I say in America it can confuse you. You can get confused being from America and then trying to apply that American ideology to the world. You're going to be confused because you're going to be looking at the rest of the world like, how are y'all different? But they're like, yo, they're completely different, right? That's why even if you go to Asia, a Chinese person is different than a Japanese person, which is different than a Korean person. And then you have North Korea and South Korea, and those are two different cultures. Because we look at it as like you have North Carolina and South Carolina, right? It may be different people there, but they all speak English. So there may be cultural differences, but we can still relate to each other via the language. But again, that's not necessarily the case everywhere. That's just the case here. That's why America has a very unique. That's why I said the culture has been deleted for these reasons. That's why America doesn't really have a culture, for better or for worse. To me, it works both ways. It works both ways. The good part of it is it makes you an alchemist because you're not attached. You can study the world and be objective. You don't have to personalize it. So that's the good part of it. The bad part of it is, as I was saying earlier, If you start to identify with other types of people, again, you're going to be doing it from a perspective, an American perspective, but it doesn't apply elsewhere. Meaning, what you learn here is going to be different than what you learn elsewhere. Meaning, I don't even think they even acknowledge you if you were initiated over here. You got to go over there to them. I think that's actually how it works. Like you have, like if you want to be initiated into Ifa or you want to be initiated into Palo, you got to go where they are. You got to go to their place, and you got to pay them. They're not coming to you over here. That's what I'm talking about. So if you want to be initiated, you think that they're going to come to you? They're somewhere in Africa and they're going to come to you to initiate you, or do you have to go to them? And that's just for them to acknowledge you as their family. That's not to say that you're going to be, in the ends of anything. That's just for them to acknowledge you as their family. Meaning you got to go to them just for them to acknowledge you. So, because that's how they get down. That's how their culture works, which is different than how we work over here. See, over here, you can say it's hip hop. Over here, you can bring what you already have and integrate it into where you are. What I mean by that is, with hip hop, there's different styles. You got West Coast hip hop, then you got like East Coast hip hop, down South hip hop, Midwest hip hop, right? There are different versions, different variations, different sounds, different lingos. All that's different, right? So that's that you can say that's the cultural aspect of it because you can really see the differences of the people through hip hop. Hip hop shows you how a New Yorker is different than someone in California because it's going to be a different style of wording, different beats, different lingos. So hip hop shows you how different we are, but you're not going to really be able to notice unless again you're actually there. So that's why they try to degrade hip hop into just a genre of music because they don't want to acknowledge that we had the ability to make a culture where there wasn't a culture before. That's what it comes down to. We had to invent a culture. Everybody else already had one. That's what makes us so different. And that's why we are the new people. Because we're not connected to the past. Hip hop is only what, 50 years old? Hip hop was just invented in the 70s. So hip hop is only what, 50 years old? Versus how old do you think Ifa is? How old do you think Palo is? How old do you think all these other religions is? Or ways of life, cultures, traditions? They probably got thousands of years. Where we only got 50. It's not that there wasn't any culture in America. Of course, we know about the Olmecs. We know about the Aztecs. We know about the Mixtecs. We know about the Toltecs. We know about the Mayan people. So we know about the natives, Native Americans, otherwise known as Indians. So we know. So there was clearly a culture here. It was the Olmecs that built, the ziggurats and the pyramids in America. So we know clearly we had a culture, we had a language, but all that was deleted. See, again, for better or for worse. That's why I look at it holistically. I'm not just looking at the good, I'm also looking at the bad, right? So that's why I say the good is it makes us a new people because we're not attached to the past. Meaning we have no obligations to the past. We have no obligations to other types of people, cultures, traditions. We don't have any obligations. Because we are a new people with a new consciousness. Our consciousness is different than anyone else because we're only technically 50 years old. While everybody else is thousands of fucking years old. But it was these 50-year-old people that influenced the whole planet with their culture. Something that the other cultures could not do in thousands of fucking years. So what does that tell you? Maybe that's a little bit too deep. How could hip hop, only being 50 years old, influence the entire planet? And then these other cultures that have been around forever, how were they not able to do the same thing hip hop did in 50 years? And they've been here for thousands, tens of thousands. Who the fuck knows how old these cultures are? But how was hip hop able to penetrate the entire world in 50 years and then the other cultures couldn't do it? And they didn't have infinite time. See, these are the type of questions that you're just not going to be asked anywhere else. Because the answers to these questions give you the actual reality, and it may be distasteful. It was the youth. Well, there's youth everywhere. There's youth everywhere. Why didn't the youth in Africa or Asia, why didn't their culture make it to America in the way hip hop made it to them? So that's what I'm saying. See, when you ask these type of questions, then you begin to see how the world really works. That lets you know the power of alchemy. Heaven is accessed by the youth, the mind of a child, the melting pot. It's my whole point. Alchemy. Alchemy. We were able to penetrate the entire world in 50 years because we were the truest to the real culture, which is alchemy. Without all the extra shit on top of it. That's what we did. That's what we did. Hip hop is just pure alchemy. While all these other traditions, all these other cultures, all these other way of life, they're alchemy too. But it's so disguised that you wouldn't even know it. It's too disguised. I appreciate you too, Mary. So you can say hip hop was the purest form of what has always been, which is alchemy. Hip hop just brought alchemy to the world in the most purest form. Where all these other cultures, there's just too much history. There's too much going on for other people to really acknowledge it. That's what happened. There's too much history. So when you say, like, for example, you can learn about hip hop in like one day. Like if you just did like the history of hip hop, it's all over YouTube and shit. With just one day, with just 24 hours, you can have like a pretty good grasp of how this all came to be. But try doing that shit with these other cultures, it's going to take you months, even years, just to get a grasp of what's actually going on. Because it's just that deep. So that's why I say the world needed simplicity, which is just people rhyming over beats. The world needed simplicity. That's why the world resonates with hip hop everywhere. Hip hop is the only culture that resonates everywhere. RZA new joint, Wu World Order. I have no idea. Do you ever bump King OXJ? I have no idea who that is. To be honest, I don't be bumping nobody. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you. Right? It's just like my mind is just if they're not speaking like let me not even go there. I'm not even gonna go there. Why? Because I would be biased. Meaning it's different for me because I actually write rhymes, so I'm not just a listener. So like I don't really just listen to music, right? Like other people listen to music because I'm actually creating the music too. So a lot of my time is spent in the creation process. So that's why like I'm not gonna say I don't have the time, but I'm not necessarily just looking for new artists to listen to because I'm too busy writing my own goddamn lyrics, right? Like every other artist as well. So it ain't just me because I'm pretty sure the people that you mentioned, they're focused on their own lyrics. They're not worried about my lyrics. Now, if we were able to cross paths, then that's different. But yeah, it's like I'm not listening. I'm not listening. I'm not looking for new artists. I'll be looking for the beats because that's what I rhyme over. So if anything, I'm listening to the beats, right? I'm not really listening to the lyrics. The Queen C is dope too. I just have to take your word for it, right? And like these are people that I've never heard of, but at the same time I'm not looking for either, right? Because again, just with me, like, I just got a bunch of beats. Like if you look at my computer, fucking hold on, right? So as you see, it's just a bunch of beats, right? But that's just because I'm a writer, right? So that's why I say I respect the culture. Anybody who's advancing their lyrics, you have my respect. Because that's what it's all about. It's about advancing your lyricism. So if you are an advanced lyricist, you have my respect, even if I don't know who you are, because you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, which is advancing the culture, right? We advance the culture by advancing our lyrics. You advance your lyrics by advancing your consciousness. And advancing your consciousness isn't just about reading a bunch of fucking books. It's about you manifesting who and what you are. You are already the divine. Why do you need a book? You are already the all. Why do you need a book? You are already every culture. Why do you need a book? Right? So that's why I'm not really looking for rappers or whatever to be woke, right? Because you should be. Like as a lyricist, I already expect you to be that, right? What impresses me is the way you put the rhymes together. That's what I find the most impressive. So a person could be talking consciousness all day, but that's not what impresses me. What impresses me is how you put that shit together. That's what I'm looking at. I'm like, God, like, how the fuck did you put that together? I respect what you're saying, but that's see with me, that's why like it doesn't even have to be conscious. That's just how lyrical I am, right? It can be somebody talking about death, but the way they put the shit together, I'm like, I can't deny like that was artistic. The way you put that shit together. That's why I can listen to everything. Like I don't just listen to conscious rapping. You know how quick I will put on some fucking Pop Smoke? You know how quick I would put on some drill music, right? So like I'm not a person that just listen to conscious shit. I'm looking at how the words are arranged. Exactly, it's a art. It's alchemy. I'm looking at the alchemy. So I really don't care what a person is talking about because that's not even relevant. That's just the ingredients. I'm not looking at the ingredients. I'm looking at the recipe. How do you put those ingredients together? That's what I'm looking at. So the ingredients may be consciousness, history, real time events. Those are just the ingredients. I'm looking at the recipe. How do you take those ingredients and make something edible that I can listen to in my ears and I can comprehend and I'm like, oh shit, that's dope. That's what I'm looking for. I'm like, yo, how do you take those ingredients and make a recipe out of it? Something that's edible and something that's tasteful. So I'm not just looking for something that's edible, which basically it sounds good to my ears, but it's also tasteful. I'm like, oh, that's nice, right? Because honestly, I hear hip hop every fucking day. If you're in America, you're hearing hip hop every fucking day. Not a day goes by where you're not hearing hip hop if you're in America. If you're in, I guess, a major city, it may not be that case in, I guess, a smaller city, right? But I'm just giving you my perspective as an artist, as an alchemist. That's what I'm looking at. I really don't care what a person is talking about. I'm looking at how you put that shit together. Because if you put that shit together in an original way, I'm like, oh shit, that shit is dope as fuck. I don't care if you're talking about food. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, yo, the way that motherfucker just talked about food was ridiculous. And I'm gonna bump it, right? 'Cause it's all about how they put it together. That's what shows your level of alchemy. It's not about what you talk about, and that's what I mean. People is overdosing off this woke shit. I honestly don't give a fuck about it. I don't give a fuck about woke lyrics. I feel like people overdo that shit because most of that shit that's woke, I'm like, I don't give a fuck about that shit any goddamn way. As an occultist, remember, I'm not just all about fucking consciousness. I'm an occultist. So I'm looking beyond everything, right? I don't give a fuck about what history you know or what you don't know. You can know no history, only your own history, and you can still be impressive to me. That's what the youth is, right? The youth are not historians. The youth are not historians. The youth got that energy though. The youth are alchemists because they listening to the older. The youth are listening to the historians. The youth are listening to basically people like me. They are being inspired by people like me, people like you. So the youth may listen to something I did, which is, you could say, more historical, more in depth, but they're not going to try to repeat that because they know they can't. They're not going to, like, you can't make up historical facts. But what you can do, you can invent your own alchemical format that's inspired by that. And to me, that's all I can even ask for, right? I mean, motherfuckers don't have to rap about what I rap about, but if you are inspired by like them, I like the way you put that together, and I'm gonna put something else together that I'm more familiar with, and I'm gonna respect it. And whatever it is that you're into, you should rap about whatever it is that you're into, whatever you know intimately, whatever that you are intimately involved in. That's what you should rap about. So for you, it's about how they put a rhyme together, basically a rhyming clever, somebody who can just rhyme forever. Exactly. Rhyme God. See, I met the rhyme God. So my perspective is different. Like, I met the rhyme God off shrooms and shit in California on Venice Beach. I met the rhyme God. Just continuous rhymes. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I have a real experience. Like, I know what it means to be a rhyme god. I met the rhyme god. The rhyme god just ran up on me. So like, just imagine somebody talking to you in rhymes. See, there's one thing when it's music. Imagine somebody having a regular conversation with you and they're rhyming. I'm like, that shit is incredible to me. Like, I have never heard that from another human fucking being. Until the rhyme god ran up on me. But I had to be shroomed out in order to have that experience. I had to be on psychedelics to even have that experience, right? So I'm like, damn, you can have a regular conversation in rhymes. It's like I can do it, but I would have to put thought behind it, right? I would have to be dual minded. Like, I can do it now, but I would have to think about what I say before I say it. Before I display it, I have to concentrate it, right? See, I can do it, but continuously, I ain't at that level. I'm humble myself. Like, I'm not on the level of the rhyme god. All right, but I'm just giving you my perspective, you know. Just giving you a perspective that you really can't get from most people, right? And I'm not saying it because I'm just darker than everybody else. Maybe I am though. I'm not gonna fucking lie. Like, maybe I am just darker than most people, but not darker as in, I'm infringing on nobody's free will. Just darker as in I embody more of my shadow than most people. That's what I'm saying, right? I'm not out here, doing anything wrong to anybody, right? But I just embody my shadow more than most people. It'd be so crazy that people don't even want to sit next to me. People don't even want to be in my energy frequency. That's what I noticed. Like, in my recent travels, right? When I was recently in California navigating, I'm like, yeah, nobody didn't even want to sit next to me at all. They're like, yo, this motherfucker. It was never like that though. As y'all know, I used to go back and forth to California just regular, right? Like, it ain't nothing. But now it's like, motherfucker, like, yo, they don't even want to be in my energy frequency at all. It's like I'm repelling bullshit at this point. I just repel it. Like, people that they can't even, like, they start feeling the type of way if they even in my presence, and they like, if you're not authentic, you gonna start feeling some type of way. As it should be though. That's how it should be. And that's what I mean by, I think I just embody my shadow more than most people, right? Because I'm not hiding anything. See, most people are trying to hide and like, no, I'm just straight demonic. I can say that and just be cool with it. I'm like, yeah, I'm just straight demonic, but not the demonic that you think that I'm doing something to other people. Because the shadow work is being done on myself. All the work that I'm doing is being applied to myself. So anything that I'm doing is being applied to me, right? I'm not pushing my energy out on other people unless it's absolutely necessary. Right. You hide a lot of things. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I mean, This channel is not one that I've hidden anything, really. Like, y'all have saw more of me than people who are even amongst me physically. I put more on this channel of my authentic self than most people even again, most people don't even know how far my thoughts go, right? I'm not around just telling people how they need to be occultists. I'm like, I don't even speak like this, right? Because I know people are not ready for it. Like, hell, he don't hide shit. But only the people that know are only the people that know, right? He's not hidden, you're not spitting freestyle, this is not written. There you go, right? If you know, you know, right? It ain't something that I can just prove right here and now. You just got to go back and see for yourself, right? So that's all it is. So that's why I don't care about that. I'm like, yeah, anybody can say whatever they want, but I got the proof. So why am I concerned with what anybody is saying? I got the proof. My channel is the proof, all right? So But it's a lot of fucking content though. So I get it. It's probably only 1% of y'all who actually have watched like every video. It's probably like 1%. Cause it's like it's over 1,000 fucking videos. That's not normal. That shit is not normal. That's not normal. Like everybody on YouTube ain't got 1,000 fucking pieces of content. Like that's not normal. Right? Be careful who you share your birth chart with, folks. I don't think anybody is sharing their birth chart just haphazardly. That's the whole thing, right? Some videos, some videos are hard to find. Yeah, I understand. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, you can't make that shit up though. That's why I don't feel no type of way. Cause you can't delete that. Right? Can't delete that. You can't tell me that I didn't make 1,000 videos, right? You can't tell me that I didn't do that. Now, how you feel about the content is a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother thing. How you feel about it is personal. But you can't say it's not there. It's there. But how you comprehend it is up to you, right? The problem is when you pay for a professional service and you get exploited. Well, if you think somebody's going to take your information and exploit you with it, I would like to know how. All right? How would a person do that? Because clearly you know what the fuck you're talking about. So I want to know how. If I give out my birth information right now, how would somebody be able to take that and exploit me? All right? Hey, you're two-faced. Oh, yeah, clearly you're mad. But give me some proof. Because you're just speaking now. I want to know. All right? How is somebody's time of birth? How can you exploit somebody because they gave you their time of birth? Like, how can I use that information against somebody? Right? Private info that you turn into public videos. You're talking about birth charts. How can I take the numbers of somebody's birth chart and then use that against them? I just want to know how. I'm not saying it ain't possible. I just want to know how. Because if you want to make the accusation, make it. Go ahead. I just want to know how. I know it's all good. Again, let the person have their opinion. It's all good. It's all good. You can access people's information in other ways. What I'm saying is, how can you exploit a person because you know their birth information? Because don't the hospital have your birth information? When you were born, when you were given a birth certificate, did they exploit you then? Because I wouldn't be the only one that has access to that information, right? I wouldn't be the only one. Hospitals ain't no occultists. Oh, okay. Hospitals are not occultists. Well, that's your opinion. I'm not like, okay, sure. They don't know the real value of a birth chart. That's your opinion. That's your opinion. And you're free to have it. That's your opinion. Because you clearly don't know about the medical industry. So, are they trolling? It is what it is. Because they're not giving any evidence. Like, should I do something? No, you good, Mary. You good, Mary. Because, yeah, I know, yeah, you can just block them and all that. But I'm like, It is what it is. You're not giving me no evidence though. You made an accusation that you can get exploited because somebody gave you your birth information. I'm just asking how. All right. Just let me know. Yeah. I'm just asking them a question. Again, people can make whatever accusation they want to make, and I'm not running from it. As you see, I'm not telling that ain't nobody got to block you. I'm just asking you how. Because if you can explain how, then it is what it is. I have the evidence in my intuition. Well, okay, okay, all right, all right. That's how you feel. That's how you feel. I'm not gonna prove you wrong. Again, I am the shadows. Right? I am the shadows. So the fact that somebody believes I'm doing sinister things doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me. I'm not surprised. You think I'm surprised that somebody thinks that I'm doing something sinister to them? You think that's surprising to me when I talk about all this devil shit? I'm not surprised by it. I mean, I do talk about the devil shit, right? So I'm not surprised that somebody would take that out of context and think, like, okay, because I'm an occultist, then I'm looking to exploit people. Like, all right, well, I'm sure that's how most people believe anyway. All right, cool. But you're free to your opinion, though. You're free to your opinion. You're free to your opinion. Even though you're basing it off of intuition, you didn't actually give any facts. So yeah, y'all be careful. Be careful with people that's not giving you facts. All right? Because I know I want some. Where's the evidence of this? All right? They have no evidence. They have no receipts. So because if I really did something sinister, I think they would have some evidence. Right? That's all I'm saying. And just make a video about it. That's all you gotta do. This is Sly, you know it. Well, why don't you make a video about it then? You're a YouTuber, right? You're a YouTuber. Make a video on it. And then link the video. I'm not gonna make no video, so what is the point of you being here then? Why are you here telling people to be careful when you can just make a video and then show the evidence of me doing something sinister to you? Right? Because you say I'm doing something to you. Where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? If I'm doing something sinister, you should have some evidence. Because you're just making accusations about. And I'm like, yo, so just because a person gives me their birth information, now I'm able to take that and then exploit them. I guess what for what, more money? Like, how does that even make sense? So I got your birth information, but that's so now you're going to give me more money? Like, how do you exploit somebody because you gave them your birth chart information? Well, now I got access to your bank account now? Like, come on now. So because you gave me your birth chart information, now I got access to your bank account and I can take money from you now. So how like, what are you talking about here? All right. All your birth chart information is giving me is the ability to pull up your astrology chart, which is the moment you were born and the stars. But that's it though. How does that give you access to your bank account? All right. The spirit liars. What does that have to do with your birth chart though? What do spirits have to do with your birth chart? All right. I'm just trying to figure this out. What does that have to do with anything? And the reason I'm even allowing you to go on like this because I want to give some fucking evidence. Right? Where's the evidence? Because if you have it, then present it. If I'm a liar, then show and prove that. If I exploited you, show and prove that. Show me the receipt where you sent me money. It is. You push my buttons and cry evidence. Yeah, why wouldn't I cry evidence? If you're coming on here making accusations, where is the evidence? Show me the receipt where something was taken from you by me because I had your birth information. Show me how that granted me access to your bank account so that I can take something. Time will reveal who is lying. Yeah, I guess so then. Because I don't have access to anybody's bank account but my own. So, yeah, you're right. And time will tell because I'm not going to have access to somebody's bank account. And then I take from them. And like, for what? For what? And let's just be honest here. If you actually have a bank account, you have insurance on your money. So if I actually did take something from you, all you would have to do is make a phone call and you get your money right back. Let's just hypothetically. The money is insured, so you still lose nothing. Let's just say that did happen. You lose nothing. So it is what it is, right? I just want to know, how does the information somebody gives me that I put into software, how does that translate to me exploiting somebody because they gave me information to put into a piece of software and it brought up a natal chart, right? Because anybody could accuse you of any damn thing, right? Anybody could accuse you of anything. Fuck money, it comes and goes, currency flows. But that's what it is. And then you use somebody's life to make content. Yeah, my own life. My content is based on my own life. Unless I'm speaking about specifically somebody else. But I put that in the title, right? Like when I was speaking about Takeoff, the death of Takeoff, I put that in the title. Wait, this is what I want to show y'all. But I'm like, anybody can make any accusations they want. But here we go. Here we go. Hold on. So this is an astrology chart, right? This is the sky right now. Right? Wait, hold on. This is June 27th. Wait. There we go. You see that? It says December 11th, 2022. That's all I'm going to get. Now I want you to tell me how those alignments leads to your bank account. Tell me how that. You gave me your information. How does that lead to your bank account? That's all. That's all I'm saying. So because you gave me your information, now I got access to your bank account? Because I'm able to pull up your chart? So that's all I'm saying. Because you claim I exploited you, and I'm like, okay, so because I have your chart in front of me, that gives me access to your bank account. That gives me access to take something from you because I can look at your chart. You're trying to take it to somewhere it's not. Well, you accuse me of exploiting you, so you see, we was in here talking about some other shit, and then you came in here talking about exploitation. I'm like, well, sure. Where's your proof? Just because you gave me some mathematics and I can bring up a chart, I'm like, how does that lead to a bank account? How does that lead me taking something from you that's not mine? That's all I'm saying. I'm like, you can make the accusation, cool. All I'm saying is how does that lead to me taking something from somebody because they gave me their birth chart information? How can I take from you because of that? That's all I'm saying. And the only reason I'm allowing it to go this far, because again, some people already feel like this anyway, because everybody doesn't believe in astrology, right? Everybody doesn't believe in this. Some people feel like this shit is the devil's work. So that's why I'm like, I'm not surprised that somebody feels like that. Oh shit, there's some devil shit going on. That's how people already feel about astrology. They already feel that way. So that's why I'm not surprised. You already feel that way about it. So to me, this is just more of a reflection of you having a distrust in astrology, the system itself. It don't have nothing to do with me. Because I personally didn't do anything to you. All right? All this is telling me is that you don't trust astrology. You think somebody can get your information and then now they have access to you in a whole spiritual way. Like you're taking it way beyond what it is. All right? That's all I'm saying. But again, that just shows your distrust of astrology. If you feel like somebody can do that to you, it has nothing to do with me. Because if I can do it, then you're saying that anybody can do it. So you're saying anybody, you're just using me as an example, but you're saying anybody who has your information, now all of a sudden they can take something from you. Because I can look at what your sun sign is. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, there are no victims. So you just have a distrust in astrology. And because I'm the Dark Lord, of course I did something to you, right? Of course I did. I don't trust you. You don't have to. I know who I am. So that's why, like, it doesn't bother me. I'm like, oh, of course I did something, right? Because I'm the Shadow Lord. Of course I did something. But of course I took something from you. Of course I did that. And all I got is your astrology chart. But somehow that lets me do some crazy, sinister things to people because I have their astrology chart. All right. Again, you sound like a person that's religious, and that's why they tell people to stay away from astrology because that's exactly how they believe. You're not the only one that believes that. You're not the only one that believes that at all. That's what every religious person believes. That's why they don't deal with astrology. That's why they don't deal with numerology. That's why they don't deal with Kabbalah. That's why they don't deal with the occult. Because that's how they believe. That somebody's just pulling some strings behind the scenes. That's how they believe. So that's why, like, I'm not surprised that you feel like, oh, somebody is doing something sinister to you because they got your birth chart information. Of course you're going to believe that because you don't trust astrology. Fuck trusting me. You don't have to trust me. What you don't trust is astrology. Because you're basically saying that through astrology, I'm able to do something to you. So basically, you're saying your mistrust is in astrology. Because without those alignments, I can't do shit to you, according to you. According to you, if I didn't have your alignments, then I don't have access to you. So because I have your alignments, now all of a sudden I have access to you. That's how religious people feel already. That's why they put the devil in it. So, salute to you though. Again, I'm unbothered by that because I've been getting the same energy the whole time. You think you're the first person to accuse me of doing some sinister shit? You think you're the first person to, oh, so you're doing some shadow work. You think you're the first person to accuse me of doing some shit like that? Of course. I've been in the game a while. All right. It's their own perception. It definitely is, all right? It is your own perception. So, so that's why I say you're free to believe what you want to believe. If that's what you believe, then that's what you believe. I'm not going to prove you wrong. I'm not going to prove you wrong. If you feel like I'm the Shadow Lord and I'm pulling strings behind the scenes, then by all means. By all means. You say use or misuse. All this person is doing is proving everything I said before I even got to this. Right? All you're doing is proving everything I said before we even start talking about this. You're just proving it. Because if you think that a person can do harm to you because they have your astrology information, then all I'm saying is, why? What is so important about you? What is so special about you that I'm going to take time out of my day and do whatever it is that you feel I'm doing to you? What do I have to gain from that? That's all I'm saying. What do I gain from that? That's all I'm saying. So I just got people's charts and I'm just gaining from it. I'm like, what is there to gain? Time will show. Exactly. Because I was here before you and I will be here after you. So your time will show. Because time is already showing. You think I can do what I do for a whole decade and I'm just fucking people over? That's time right there. You think I can do what I do for a whole decade, but I'm secretly doing shit to people? Okay. Don't you think that I would be exposed by now? Don't you think I would be exposed by now? I mean, it's been 10 fucking years. My first video was made in 2013. Okay? On this channel. So you're telling me in 10 years, not a single person has made a video about me accusing me of doing anything of this nature? I'm in my feelings? No, this is facts. In 10 years, not a single person on YouTube has accused me of doing anything of this nature. How do I know that? Because all I gotta do is type my name in. I can't hide anybody else's videos. If somebody uploaded a video about me right now, I can't tell YouTube to take it down. It's just like that, right? So if somebody wanted to make a video about me, they could. All I'm asking is, why has it been 10 years? Why has it been 10 years? And not a single video has been made about me accusing me of doing anything of this nature. But all of a sudden, I'm going to start with you. All of a sudden, so I've been clean for 10 years. But all of a sudden, I'm gonna fuck my whole reputation up because of you. Because I just want to fuck with you. I don't see the logic in that. I don't see a logic in that. You may see a logic in that because you feel like you're extra important. That's fine. You can have the most importance about yourself in the world. All I'm saying is, how do I been around this long and nobody's making these accusations against me? But all of a sudden all of a sudden, I just destroyed my whole reputation just to fuck with you? It's overimportance. That's what it is. It's overimportance. Because if that was just my nature, to just fuck people over, then I'm sure people would have exposed me by now because I guarantee people have no problems doing that. People have no problems exposing people because they have receipts, don't they? Look all over YouTube. If somebody wants to be exposed, they can be exposed. And can't nobody do nothing about it. All right? So, I'm just using this as an example. This is what happens when you overvalue yourself. That's all it is. This is what happens when you overvalue yourself. When you're dealing with a person that has been doing what they have been doing for longer than you, but because you came around, now all of a sudden they want to fuck with you. And I'm just like, why? Why am I fucking with you? Or maybe you just you overvalue yourself. I'm like, damn, you're just that fucking important, huh? You're that fucking important that I just need to fuck with you. You're just that fucking important. And I'm like, all right, if that's what you believe, that's what you believe. I can't tell you what you believe. All I'm saying is, I'm just telling you the truth. Whether you take it or not, that's on you. But if you really feel that I'm here to fuck with you or anyone, because that's just the nature of who I am. I'm just a person that likes fucking with people. If that's what you believe, that's what you believe. All I'm saying is, where's the evidence? Where's the evidence of me doing anything of this nature to anybody? Where is the evidence? Anywhere. Other than you running your fucking mouth. That's it. That's it. All the bullies in my life. Are you fucking kidding me? You know that has nothing to do with me, right? All the bullies in my life. What does all the bullies... They know you. I don't fucking know you. All the bullies in my life, well, I have to be in your presence to bully you. I have never met you a day in my life. But all of a sudden, I just value you that much that I need to do something sinister to you, and I need your astrology chart for that. People stay for the 8-hour videos and still ain't enough. We are here because we choose to be, and we fuck with them on. Nothing but great minds, open-minded people, not limited, all love and fam. Yes, it is all love, because you see I could have been blocked this person. Be careful how you talk to me. I'm being lenient towards you because we can instantly block you. You could have been blocked 30 minutes ago. But we're being lenient by allowing you to speak. Because we could have been had you out of here. But I'm just using it as a teaching reference. Because you're not the only one that feels that way. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, let me just use this as a reference. This is how some people believe. Like you see, you're going on this whole tangent about some shit that I never met you in my life. Never saw you, never did anything with you. But all of a sudden, I'm doing all this bullshit. All right? I'm just trying to figure out the point. There is no point. Because this stuff is not possible. Well, let me not say what's possible and what's not possible. Right? Let me not say that, right? What I'm saying is, this is just not how I spend my time. Alright? It's not how I spend my time. Not with people who overvalue themselves. That's all I'm saying. Like you clearly overvalue yourself to the point where you think I'm gonna take time out of my day to fuck with you. You overvalue yourself. That's all it is. Like I'm about to do something out of my character because of you. You overvalue yourself when you feel like that. Like, oh, so it's not in my character to do this to people. And to me, I'm like, I wouldn't even do it in this way. Like, if I just wanted to be on some sinister shit, why would I even ask anybody for any information? That's all I'm saying. What I'm saying is, people who do sinister work, they don't have to ask for your natal chart. Right? That's all I'm saying. People who really want to do sinister things to you, they don't need your natal chart. They don't. Should we block them? Nah, it's all good. Again, this is just a teaching point, right? This is just to be familiar. Everybody's not comprehending what we comprehend. You see, we didn't had a whole discussion about Kabbalah, and then somebody comes here talking about what sinister things are occurring, which has nothing to do with any of us, especially me. That has nothing to do with any of us. Nobody's doing anything to nobody. I mean, you wouldn't even be watching me or over here if you really think I was doing some shit like that. It's just that simple. Be careful how you talk to me. You overvalue yourself. I'm just going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to lie. You overvalue yourself if you really think that somebody's trying to do something to you. That's all I'm going to say. Well, yeah, don't say anything else then. Don't come over here accusing people of doing something to you, and you have no evidence. And if you do have evidence, make a video on it. It's just that simple, right? But the chart definitely helps. No, it doesn't. You don't understand spirituality. And that's why I'm giving you the time of day, because hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you learned something. If somebody wanted to fuck with you for real, they don't need any information. They don't. Do you think people doing spiritual work, they need your information? They don't. That's not how spiritual work works, right? Or let me not say spiritual work, sinister work, dark magic, black magic does not require a natal chart. Do you think people working with spirits that they have a person's natal chart? People who sending demons and jinns to people, do you think that they have your natal chart to do that? Do you think they need that? Do you really think they need that? Whose chart and why is this even being discussed? This is a person, they claim that I'm doing sinister things to them because I had their natal chart. That's basically what this is all about, right? And I'm just entertaining it. I'm entertaining it because I'm like, all right, well, where's the proof? If I did something to you, then prove it. But if you're just speaking, you don't understand spirituality at all. Voodoo high priests need no chart. But clearly this person doesn't understand that. That's how we know who everybody is, right? We know exactly who this person is because they clearly don't understand how magic works. They don't understand it. That's why they accusing me, and all I have is fucking mathematics. But I'm the one doing sinister work. The astrologers are the one doing the sinister work. They clearly don't understand magic. Like, if I really wanted to do something to a person, why do you really think people are just offering their information to like, come on. Like, if I wanted to do some work on a person, do you think I'm gonna ask them for their natal chart? Oh, let me get you. When were you born? Where were you born? Do you think I'm going to ask them or anybody? Do you think anybody's going to ask anybody for a natal chart if they really want to fuck them over spiritually? Do you think they need that information? And even if they need that information, how would they get it from you? How would they even get that information from you? But again, I'm just using this as a teaching moment because you see how people take shit completely out of context. Like someone actually is looking at your natal chart and they're what sending demons to you because they're looking at your natal chart. Like a demon needs a natal chart. That's all I'm saying. This is just clearly a person that don't understand how these things work. Say whose chart? I guess it's their chart. I guess they're claiming they gave me their chart, and then I guess I'm using it sinisterly. And I'm like, all right, well, this. Sometimes you gotta refuse work from certain people. That's all I gotta say about it, right? Sometimes you just gotta refuse doing work for people, because then they run it back on you, like you did something to them. I'm like, okay, well, so it's not you, it's me now. It's not that you're just going through fucked up shit. It's me now. Now it's me doing something to you. It ain't just you going through fucked up shit. It got to be because of something I did. It's like, all right. That's why it's just a lack of responsibility. That's all it is. Because if you're so fucking powerful, then just stop it. That's all I'm saying. If you're so fucking powerful, then stop it. Stop your own bullshit. You don't got to stop what I'm doing to you because I'm not doing the fucking thing to you. Stop your own bullshit. That's all you got to do. And that's just how much love I have for you, honestly. Because like I said, I could have been blocked you 30 minutes ago, 45 minutes ago, but I'm like, all right, say what you got to say. We'll give you the floor. And if you prove something, you prove something. But if you don't, you don't. And that's that, right? So, if you believe that if someone has your mathematics, that gives them the ability to do sinister things to you, then by all means, keep your information to yourself. Because if you're going to give somebody your information, then accuse them of doing some bullshit to you, I'm like, why did you give the information in the first place if you feel that people are able to do that type of shit? Why are you giving your information out in the first place if that's how you feel? That's all that is. So anybody who may feel like that, anybody who's watching this video, whether now or in the future, if you feel like somebody can do sinister things to you because you gave them access to your mathematics, then by all means, keep your mathematics to yourself. That way your life will remain perfect because nobody's doing nothing to you, right? But we know that that's metaphorical, right? People will rather accuse other people than taking responsibility for their own life. That's all that is. Because the truth is, I'm not doing a damn thing to this person and don't care to. I don't know this person, never met this person, so I'm like, why do I care to do anything to this person? It's not in my nature to do anything to anybody without a purpose. You have not did anything to me, so why would I be doing anything to you or anyone else? So now it's just universal. All right? But some people feel like that. And if you feel like that, then protect your information. You don't have to give your information out to nobody. You can do your own fucking natal chart. You can do it for free. You know that, right? Anybody can get their natal chart done for free. The only reason you will be giving your information to somebody else is so that you can comprehend what you may not be able to comprehend on your own. That's the only reason why you would be giving someone else your information, because you're like, okay, well, what do you see? I know what I see. I looked at my own chart. I know what I see, but what do you see? You may be able to see things that I may not be able to see. That's all it is. By the way, what's your social? You're talking about social media or social security number? Because the social media is all that's in the description. All the links to me, everything is in the description. Now, yeah, your social security number. Now, somebody may be able to do some damage with that. Now, I'm not gonna lie about that. Yeah, so yeah, exactly. Social security. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie about that. Yeah, somebody having your social security card. That's technically what identity death. Why am I thinking about death? Like, when am I not thinking about death? I'm talking about identity theft. So yeah, but that's a crime, right? That's a crime. If I was found out to be using somebody else's social security number, I'm committing a crime that I can go to jail for, right? Because you're not supposed to be doing that. It's illegal to take someone's information and to use it as your own. That's illegal, right? But because it's different with astrology, now all of a sudden people put all this extra shit behind it. You see what I mean? It's a bunch of extra shit. Something that's supposed to help you to discover yourself. Something that helps you to discover your environment and what you're here to do, your destiny. Now all of a sudden somebody's going to use that against you as if they stole your identity, right? But that's what it is, you know. So that's why I allowed it to go on, because that's just how some people feel. So I just use that as an example. Some people already feel that way. They overvalue themselves. Like, we have time to give a fuck about what they're doing. It sounds like a nine of swords situation. No, you taking it directly to the tarot. That's basically what it is. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. That's when you overvalue yourself. Like, and you really think a person gives a fuck that much. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. At least with me. I can't speak on nobody else. I guess you do have stalkers out here. You do have people that's into stupid ass shit. Me, I don't care for it. I don't care to stalk nobody. I don't give a fuck enough. I don't care enough. What you're doing, where you're going, who you're fucking with, I don't care enough. I don't care enough. What I do care about is helping you to comprehend why you're here versus who you're with or what you're going through. Let me show you why you're here and how you can align yourself with your destiny. That's what I do care about. All that extra shit I don't care about. I'm not supposed to care about it. I'm not supposed to care about what you're doing on your day-to-day life. That should not be my concern. And it's not my concern. That's why I'm speaking about greater things. That is my concern, right? But yeah, every now and then you get trolled. That's why I'm let the person feel how they want to feel. Let them say whatever they want to say without any proof, without any evidence. Because they're not an astrologer. They're not an occultist. Because if they was, they would know that that's not how you go about doing that type of work. It's just that simple. If I really wanted to put the brakes, hold on. If I really wanted to put the brakes on somebody, I'm not asking them for any information and expecting them to give it to me. Because why would they? Why would they? Just because I ask somebody for their information, they just going to give it to me because I asked for it? Why? You think I can just ask a random person for their information and they just give it to me? Why? All right. So again, just use that as an example as to, you see, anybody can take this wherever they want to take it. But that's because they're not doing the work. They're not doing the work. Because if you're doing the work, anything sinister happening to you, you can stop it. That's the whole point, right? So let's just say something sinister was happening. If you're doing the work, shadow alchemy, not only can you see who's doing it, but you can bring it to a stop. You can bring it to a close. That's why they call it spiritual warfare, right? So if you're in that world, then you already know how that works. But if you're not in that world, it's just a bunch of speculation. See, it would be different if we were speaking about voodoo, voodoo, right? It would be different if this was a topic about spirituality, but you see, this was not even about that, right? That's not the type of work that I would even promote. I don't promote spiritual warfare because people can really get hurt. Death can be the result. So why would that be something that I play with? I wouldn't. That's not something to be played with. But that has nothing to do with astrology. That's my point. That has nothing to do with astrology. Astrology is just pointing you in a certain direction. That's all an astrology chart can do for you. It's to show you what energies are already around you. That's what your chart is. That's just showing you what energies are already around you. So if you're going through some shit, you pull up your chart to see, well, what energies are around me. You're not pulling up your chart to see, okay, well, who's engaging in spiritual warfare with me. That wouldn't really be why you pull up a chart. So I'm not saying that spiritual warfare is not real. What I'm saying is that's not the type of weaponry that I'm just going to pull out haphazardly on a person. And they didn't do a goddamn thing to me. Because, again, whoever that person was, they haven't did anything to me. So there's no reason why I would even want to go in that path or that direction with that person or anybody else who have never done anything to me. I'm like, why would I even want to go there with you? There's a reason why I'm still here. That's my whole point, right? You think I would be able to be here for 10 years if I were just looking for war? That's all I'm saying. If I was really looking for war or doing sinister things to people, which creates karma. See, I understand karma. Meaning, if I'm just doing things to people that are unjustified, I have to deal with that karma. Because that's just a balance of the universe, right? So if I'm trying to make somebody else's life a living hell, unjustly, I'm not saying that you can't, unjustly, meaning there's no reason why you should even be fucking with this person. That's karma that comes back to me because it was not just. It was not done in the spirit of justice. See, that's what you must understand about this spiritual craft. If you're not moving in justice, then expect hardship. That's all. The evidence is actually there. Look at all these spiritual people who have come before us, and now they're nowhere to be found. So the evidence is there. The evidence is there. Look at all these spiritualists who got in beefing on the internet. Look at all these people going back and forth with this person, back and forth with that person. What's going on with them now, though? Because most people be doing that shit just to get clout anyway. People be beefing with each other just to get their views up, just to get their numbers up, just to benefit off of negativity. Which you see I never done. Never cared to do it. Never been in a single beef. I'm not beefing with no YouTubers for what? This shit is not personal. Like, just because a person doesn't like my content, I'm not about to beef with you. Because you may disagree. You're entitled to disagree. But again, some people don't operate like that. Some people be fully going into warfare over pettiness. That's the last thing I'm gonna do. The last thing I'm gonna do is cause a war over some petty shit. Because it's not worth the consequences. Every war has a consequence. Every war you will deal with losses. That's just a part of warfare. So why would I be opening up those can of worms over something small? So I'm just explaining, like, this is not the world or the area in which you exercise this shit haphazardly. If you are not in the spirit of justice, there will be a problem. So I'm just letting y'all know right now. Not that y'all are doing anything to anybody, but for the people that are. If you are not in the spirit of justice, it's not going to work out to your benefit. To me, that's what I really think happened to that person. If you want my honest opinion, I think that person was fucking with people unjustly, and now they're getting fucked over. And they want to put it on me, but I'm like, yo, I'm not at war with you. That's just like, yo, I'm not out like, yo, I'm trying to back the fuck off. I'm not like, yo, I don't want nothing to do with that. It's not my beef. It's not my war. That's all I'm saying. I don't want no parts. This shit don't have nothing to do with me. So that's what it is, you know. So I'm glad I'm glad that happened. Just, you know, for people that may be on the fence and shit, right? Like they putting extras. Now you know. I deal in justice. I'm not going to do anything to nobody who hasn't violated my justice, which is not that many people, right? So there's no reason for me to just be fucking with people, because that's going to fuck me up, because I don't need to be doing that. That's why I said, like, I haven't even been making content because I'm mastering my own craft. Y'all see, I haven't even been on here. It's been like a week since I haven't been on here. Just to let y'all know, like, I've been off. I've been into my own world, mastering my own craft. I'm like, I'm not thinking about what anybody else has going on, because it shouldn't be my concern anyway. And that's also why, you know, I've been around long enough to know anybody who comes with that type of energy, it's because of something that they did wrong. It ain't something I did wrong. It's something they did wrong. Because I know in my heart, I've done nothing to this person. Whether they believe that or not, I'm like, yo, what reason would I have to do anything to this person? Again, this person hasn't did anything to me that I know about, so why would I do something? So let's just say, if that person is doing something to me that I don't know about, then that they probably are getting fucked up for that. So that's a possibility too. I'm not saying that's what's going on, but I'm saying that's a possibility too. So the reason why somebody would direct that towards me, because I probably did send some shit back because you sent something. That's the only way that I can even imagine it being any type of drama. I'm like, yo, you did some shit to me first, so I ain't do shit to you first, because I don't throw the first punch. That's all it is, right? I'm not going to be the one to throw the first punch. Why? Because you're going to be in the wrong. If somebody walks up to me and calls me a bitch to my face and I punch them in their mouth, guess who's going to be the one that gets arrested? Me. Not them. And they called me a bitch to my face. But because I took it to physical violence, I'm going to be the one that spends the night in jail, not them. So even I say like, yo, they provoked me, but guess who's going to be the one spending the night in jail? So that's why I don't allow myself to get into that shit. I know how the shit works, right? So all that was somebody trying to provoke me, because obviously they're in their goddamn feelings. But I'm like, shit, maybe there is a reason though. But the reason is because of something they did, not because of something I did. Because all I do is counter. I don't initiate, I counter. So if somebody sends some shit to me, I just counter. But I'm not the one sending first shots. So that's all it is. That's all that is. So if they're being tormented right now, if they're being tormented, it's because they sent the first shot. That's all it is. That's all it is. They sent the first shot. Whoever called the police, it's the here we go. Hold on, give me a second. Hold on. So that's all that is. So yeah, even if you call the person a bitch who called the police, I'm still gonna be arrested. So I know how to navigate. I'm just using that as a metaphor. That's why, yeah, you see a person can run up on me, or accuse me of doing this, accuse me of doing that. You see, I'm like, all right, cool. Because you can be like, all right, you can accuse me. It's not illegal to accuse a person. All I'm saying is, if I am doing some shit to you, it's because you did something to me. That's the only reason that my energy would even be in your circumference. It's because some shit you was trying to do, but you like, oh shit, you didn't realize what you was fucking with. That's all that is. So I'm not here to brag. I'm not here like, oh, I'm just the biggest, I'm the baddest. Again, like I said, I just counter. I just counter. That's all. I just protect and defend what needs to be protected and defended. That's all. And astrology is one of those things. We came on here, we're talking about astrology, so that's why I wanted to defend astrology. I'm like, yo, astrology is not the path that you would use to do those things, right? It don't matter what a person believes, because when would your enemy give that data over to you? If they're really your enemy, why would y'all even have each other's information like that? If y'all are really enemies, but y'all can still fuck each other up though, without a natal chart. So that's all it is, right? So that's why I'm like, yo, maybe they are on to something. Maybe I am tormenting them, because I'm like, they was going extra hard. I'm like, damn, did I really do something to this person? Like, I'm like, oh shit. Maybe I did, but it wasn't intentional. It was just counter. So that's why, like, I'm able to admit that. I'm deep enough in my shadows. I'm like, yo, if you coming at me like that, you probably already had some ill will towards me, and I just countered your ass. That's all that is. That's how I see that. You already had some ill will towards me, and you just got countered. And it's just not working out for you, but it's not my fault that you threw the first punch, though. It ain't my fault you threw the first punch. And I done dedicated my whole life to this. Like, what are you doing? Like, I have to exercise responsibility, because I know what I'm capable of. So I'm like, if I know what I'm capable of, why would I just be haphazardly just fucking with people when I know shit can go real crazy? So that's the last thing I would want to do to anybody who don't deserve it. It's the last thing I want to do. The last thing I want to do is cause harm, and harm that just didn't need to happen. That's the last thing I want. I'm not that type of person, right? But if I am causing harm, it's because you threw the first punch. That's all. Because you have no idea how deep I am into this shit. like, I will kill spiritually if necessary. But I don't want that to be necessary. That's the whole thing. I don't want to do that, but god damn. If a person is blasting at you and you just so happen to hit them back, oh shit. That's all it is. So it was fun. It was fun. Like I said, I don't take none of that stuff personal. I'm like, yeah, all right. Fuck with me all you want. You're going to get countered. And it is what it is, right? We really about that life, but only injustice. That's just how I operate. That's just the Libra in me. That's a Libra in me. A Vedic. I'm a Vedic Libra. I'm a Western Scorpio, but I'm a Vedic Libra. So that Libra mean like, yo, I have to move in justice. That's just a Libra in me. So that's not a decision I'm making. That's just my nature as a Libra. As an Eastern Libra, it's just my nature to operate with injustice. You're not going to ever see me upset. You're not going to ever see me going crazy on nobody if it's unjust. It's just that simple. So if you ever see me going crazy or going hard on anybody, it's because that it's justice needs to take place. That's all it is. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's just justice. So if anybody's accusing me of doing something to them, is you gotta lay up that. What the fuck did they do? Don't worry about what I did. What did they do? Because if you know my character, I'm like, yeah, I ain't going around looking for problems, but I welcome the problems. Because that's the Scorpio in me. My South Node is in Leo. Well, why am I not Leo? Libra. My South Node in Libra. Yeah, that makes you the spirit of justice. And that's something that you bring into this life from a past life. So that means in a past life, you may have been a judge. You was a person that was a part of the justice system in some form or fashion, right? That just makes you a naturally just person. That means you're not trying to tilt the scales in a way that's not going to be in your favor. And doing shit to people is going to tilt the scales to your detriment, right? That's all that is. But like I said, the Scorpio in me is like, all right, like, okay, if we gonna beef, then fuck it. I'm just gonna have to smash you. That's the Scorpio. But you see, the Scorpio ain't gonna be activated unless the Libra is just the Scorpio is like contained by the Libra. So I'm just explaining my own dynamics here, right? Because apparently, because astrology just helps us fuck with people, right? So I'm just telling you my own astrology, right? My own astrology. This is just how I operate. As long as it's justified, then we can go all out. But if it's not justified, then it's like the energy for me is not going to be there. So that's when I say, like, I don't care enough. The energy for war is not there. If it's unjustified, I'm like, I'm not going to be quiet chat now. You already know what it is, right? I'm sorry I had to turn up like that. Oh, man. I'm sorry I had to turn up like that, though. Not that that was much of anything, but god damn. I really started to think, I'm like, damn, I really must have countered this motherfucker to a point of no return. I must have countered to a point of no return. But it's all good, though. Alright, it's all good. But rest assured, you have my word, right? If you ever share any personal information with me, just know that your information is secure, your information is protected. Your information will never be shared with anyone else for no reason, right? What about Jupiter? The Jupiter placements. What about Jupiter? Hold on. Jupiter is in Pisces right now. 29 degrees, which is its natural habitat. Because Jupiter is the original ruler of Pisces before the discovery of Neptune, right? So what about Jupiter? So Jupiter in Pisces means there's a lot going on. Well, I guess that fucking explains it. That's funny as fuck. That's funny as fuck. I guess that do explain it. I guess that shit do explain it. What I mean by that is Jupiter represents, sleep and slumber. Then Pisces represents divination and like spirituality and like karma. So basically, everything that y'all just witnessed, that's basically Jupiter and Pisces. That's basically what literally just happened. Where somebody is accusing me of doing some spirituality shit to them Pisces by using their astrology, Jupiter. So that's basically really just what played out in real time right now. That basically is what played out in real time right now. So Jupiter in Pisces means the astral plane and the dream world is super active right now. And I agree, because I've been doing a lot of resting. I'm not gonna lie. I've been resting a lot. I've been resting a lot, so I'm not gonna lie. That's true. Jupiter in Pisces. I have been doing a lot of resting, a lot of dreaming. I've been doing a lot of dreaming. So the spiritual world is active right now, meaning this, and it's 29 degrees Pisces, so that means Jupiter is about to go into Aries. This is the last degree. This is the last degree. So Jupiter will be going into Aries soon. So this is like the last phase, right? So that's why karmic energy is being cleansed right now. So that's basically what just happened. So that was just that person getting out their karma, getting out that Pisces energy, right? I just so happen to be the target as Jupiter, all right? Because you could say, oh, I'm just symbolic of Jupiter in this particular case. So I'm like, that's just astrology playing out. So if anything, let that be a lesson of how this shit actually plays out in real time. It don't have nothing to do with what you're actually doing, especially if it's Pisces and we're talking about what's going on the spiritual plane, right? So the way I just got accused of doing spiritual work on a person, Pisces, using their astrology, Jupiter. I'm like, oh well, there you go, right? So that's why I'd be cool. I'm like, damn, if I can see this with the astrology, then why would I be in my feelings about it? I'm like, oh, that is just what happened, huh? I'm like, oh shit, I do see that. That did just play out. That's just how it played out for me personally. Now, how it plays out for you may be a little differently. That's just how it played out for me personally, right? So that's just an example of Jupiter and Pisces. That's just an example of it, right? It's just, you're just gonna be, you just want to rest, right? You want to rest. You want to rest and you want to do your spiritual work in the dream world. So this is a time of the dreamer to expand your dreams, lucid dreaming. This is a time where you should be lucid dreaming. All right. So this is the whole energy of Jupiter. Jupiter is expansion into Pisces. That's expansion into the dream world and using divination, meaning getting the answers that you need in the dream world. That's what that's about, right? But on the opposite end of that, exactly, your astral temple. Building your astral temple or your astral dimension, building the portals to access your astral temple. On the flip side of that, those portals may bring in some demonic forces that you created that you need to deal with, that we call our shadows. That's what that is. So you see, that's why I'm always talking about the shadow, because the shadows are always, those portals are open right now. So we must face our shadow. So that's why you see, I'm like, yo, I've been talking about the shadow, right? I'm like, I don't mind it. I know I embody my shadow more than most people. So that's why I was saying earlier in the video, I'm like, yeah, I was just in LA. Nobody even wanted to be in my presence. That's just how shadow my energy, but that's Jupiter and Pisces. I'm like, yeah, I'm really the fucking shadow god right now. That's how fucking, I'm like, oh shit. Like motherfuckers look at me and they see shit about themselves that they don't like. That's what's going on. You look at me and you be in my presence, it starts to bring up things about you that you're neglecting, that you're not dealing with. That's all that is. Because that's exactly what happened just now. Because clearly that person has some shadow energy that they don't want to deal with, that they don't want to confront. But because I'm the shadow god, I'm like, that shit has to come out. It got to come out. That's all that happened, right? If you ain't working with your shadow, it's like being half a person. Exactly, because your shadow holds all the secrets. It's not your ego that holds the secrets. It's the shadows that hold your secrets. All right? So that's what it is. So that's why I'm like, I don't take none of this stuff personally because I know the nature of the work I do. And again, it's not that I'm kicking a bunch of ass. Really, I'm kicking my own ass because I'm taming my own shadow. So my shadow may be kicking somebody else's ass, but I'm kicking my shadow's ass. Because if your shadow is not on your side, it's going to be your enemy. And that's basically what happens with a lot of people. Their shadow is their enemy. Because their shadow is untamed. That's how you start accusing other people of doing shit that don't have nothing to do with them. Like imagine me walking up to a person and saying, what the fuck they doing to me? I'm like, yo, I don't even know you. It's your own shadow that's out of control. It's your own shadow that's untamed. That's why you're looking for somebody else to blame. That's what that is. When you're looking for somebody else to blame because your own shadow is untamed. But you see, because I'm always dealing with my shadow, you don't ever see me blaming nobody else for nothing. Which is why I barely even talk about other people here. Or you see, most of the time I'm just speaking, but I'm not even speaking about nobody else. What's going on with me personally? Because I'm just dealing with my shadow. How that manifests in real time is how it manifests. But I know the cause. That's just me cleansing my own shadow, cleansing my own karma. And through the midst of that cleansing, again, right, that may hit other people differently. But I'm not going to stop doing it because my shadow needs to be tamed for reasons like this. When motherfuckers get out of line, they got to be put back in place. That's all it is. But how can I put them back in place if my own shadow is not on point? So I have to constantly keep my shadow tamed because I know the nature of my shadow. So the same way I'm not bowing to anybody, I'm like, my shadow don't give a fuck about bowing, about obeying commands and shit. So like I gotta seal that motherfucker up like a demon. What's up, Cam? 93. I gotta seal that motherfucker up like a demon. That's why I'm always talking about demons and demon time and jinn. I'm like, that's how I have to treat my own shadow. I gotta bind that motherfucker up with a spell. And then make it listen. It ain't just listening because I wanted to listen. But that's just the way I do it. I'm not saying that that's the way that you're gonna have to go about doing it, but that's why when we speak about demons and jinn, they have to be binded up. They're not just gonna listen to you because you want them to. You gotta cast spells. You gotta bind their ass up. Then they listen. Then dominion, exactly. Two of wands. All right, I think I got it right here. So two of wands shit right there. Hold on. Then I'll stop after this because the phone about to die and shit. So I'm just making these last points here. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the show. I guess just at this point, that shit is entertainment. But I welcome it though. Anybody who wants to smoke, I welcome it. Why not? Yo, I don't know. I be fiending for this shit. It just gotta be justified though. See, that's the thing. I be fiending for the war. That's just the Scorpio in me, but it gotta be justified. I can't just start fucking with motherfuckers. So I enjoy people coming at me crazy, like, oh, that's just giving me a reason to, to turn some shit over. Oh shit. Oh, you mean I can turn the table over on your ass? So I'm gonna turn the table over on your ass. I've been working with the Thoth deck as opposed to the Rider Waite. That's good for you. It's the best thing you can be doing right now. That's the best thing you can be doing right now. I'm looking for this Two of Wands though. Give me a second. Where is this Two of Wands? So yeah, anybody who want to smoke, just give me a reason to bring out those demons. I need a reason though. Otherwise, I'm gonna just be fucking myself. Just give me a reason. I want it. I want the reason. Cause all I'm gonna do is replenish myself. That's funny. Oh shit. Just gonna replenish myself off of your energy. That's all I'm gonna do. That's all I'm gonna do is replenish myself. But everybody else, we cool. All right? Just want to know I'm gonna continue to show love. Gonna continue to do what I do. Let's see. Man, this motherfucker's all the way at the back of the. God damn, this was all the way in the back of the. There we go. Dominion. Right? Two of Wands, Dominion. You see that? There we go. So that's what I was talking about. Two of Wands, Dominion. That's how I gotta treat my shadow. That motherfucker gotta get binded up. So when it's time to unleash, justly released, then all hell breaks loose, right? But it's still orderly. So that's what it is. So I enjoyed it. All right. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. All right. Hopefully you enjoyed the show, because I'm like, well, what else I'm gonna do, right? Hold on. So I welcome the trolls. Y'all keep it coming. Keep the trolls coming. The dislikes, people who find me distasteful. Bring the smoke. Bring the drama. Bring it. I want it. Bring it. For everybody else who's cool as fuck, I'm gonna continue to be cool as fuck. That's all it is. That's all it is. But y'all can watch me slay the demons though. I'm like, why not? Right? I done been teaching enough, right? Y'all want to see some demon slaying. That's what y'all want to see, right? Y'all want to see me slaying demons. That's what y'all want to see. Y'all want to see me turn some shit over. We'll keep it coming, right? All right, cool. So, we're reaching the end. Again, y'all get it. Again, check out the links in the description, right? Check out the Telegram for the tarot. Check out the Patreon for the numerology. Check out my website, astronew.com, for the astrology breakdown for all the services. Again, everything will be half off for the month of December, right? Everything is half off. Don't fuck with me if you're afraid, because it's not going to work out for you, right? So if you feel like this is too demonic for you, then leave it alone. It's all good, right? I'm just doing this for the people who feel they need it, right? And then again, anybody else who want to smoke, but it's not gonna be nobody else. So I'm just fucking around. I'm just fucking around, right? But y'all see, we don't get trolled on like that, right? Every now and then somebody comes up talking their shit. Y'all see it? That's every now and then. That's every now and then. But most of the time we be cooling, right? Because that just goes to show that I'm not out here causing problems. Like, we don't have to deal with this shit every live where people come in talking crazy. That's just every now and then. Every now and then the shadow will arise. And when it arises, we just sick the demons out on them, right? So I'm just waiting to unleash some demons on somebody who think I did something to them. I'm like, just give me a reason to drain your energy. Just give me a reason. Other than that, I'm here giving energy. You see, that's why I be on here hours. I done been on here 194 minutes. That's just energy I want to give you. I want to give you my energy. Right? I want to give you my energy. I want to give you a piece of me. Tap into my aura. It's going to help you to understand yourself. the distastefulness of yourself, the darkness of yourself, the self that you don't want to acknowledge. Tap into my aura, and that'll be a lot more easier for you, right? Because I'm damn near, I am the shadow. I'm like the world shadow. I'm like the shadow man of the world, right? I'm the shadow man. So tap into me, you tame your shadow, right? And we'll have a grand time, right? Other than that, I'm fucking shit up. Other than that, I'm fucking shit up. Other than that, I'm fucking shit up. And next time, if anybody has a problem, I'll do a StreamYard so that you can come up and you can show your face and you can speak your piece. That's all. So if anybody has anything to say, I will get on StreamYard and you can show your face and you can voice your opinion. Like, I'm not hiding from, I'm not ducking nobody. Like, anybody who has anything to say, I will give you a platform. I will give you an audience. Speak your piece. But at the end of that piece, if you look drained, it ain't my fault. Just fucking around. If you look drained, it ain't my fault. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Alright. That's what it is, huh? Don't be afraid of me. Be afraid of yourself. Alright? Don't be afraid of me like I'm just able to do something that you can't do to your damn self. That's all this was. That's all it was. So I'm going to log out. I'm going to continue doing the shadow work. Right? And hopefully we have more trolls to slay. More demons to sick out. More heads to cut off. Right? Keep it coming. Because all you're doing is giving us energy. 93. Right? You're just giving us energy. Give us all the energy. Right? Because we'll show you who has the real power here. Give us the energy. Because we will use it and we will show forth the power. Because 93 ain't just me, it's all of us. That's the whole point, right? 93 is all of us. You fuck with me, you fucking with all of us. They fuck with you, they fuck with all of us. That's why it's a fucking problem. That's why it's a problem. You dealing with a whole legion of motherfuckers who is unrelentless. With the proper justice. Because we're also angelic, right? That's the catch-22. The catch-22 is we will sick them demons on you, but we will also have the angels. So that the demons don't get too out of hand. We're going to send the angels with the demons so that the demons don't get out of hand, right? Because we're just here to teach a lesson, right? We're just here to teach a lesson. So if anybody is a little off balance, we're just here to teach a lesson, right? We ain't trying to fuck you up too bad. Just get the lesson. That's all it is. So once again, even if I'm not posting on YouTube, I'm posting literature. Right? So just check out one of the links and tap into the literature. I'm just getting back to the literature now. So that's why I'm like, yeah. I just got on here just to let y'all know. So even though you don't see me posting, I'm posting literature. So the literature is all over the place. And I will start posting more on the social media, meaning the Twitter, Aman Ashranu 93, the Facebook, I think it's Aman Ashranu, AAR, the Instagram, Aman Ashranu, the TikTok, Aman Ashranu, same shit everywhere, right? I'm going to start doing more social media posts, start showing forth more of the art. Again, I just wanted to take time and get into my own shot. All right, 93. Do what thou wilt should be the whole of the law. Love is a law. Love under will. We out this bitch.